Chapter 1785, Master Chief, John 17. At this moment, the stalwart figure stood bare-chested, his solid muscles appearing as if they were sculpted from iron. His broad shoulders exuded strength, seemingly immovable even under the weight of Mount Tai. 5 neural interfaces were arranged along his spine, with the top one located at the brainstem at the back of his head. This was John 117, also known as Master Chief, the most legendary warrior in the Halo universe. In that world, he was present in almost every battle and major event. It could be said that he single-handedly changed the course of the war between the United Earth Government, UEG, and the Covenant. And now this legendary figure had been awakened aboard the legendary level of the Mothership. Unlike other legendary figures, Tang Xiao had anticipated the awakening of Master Chief. He had a strong suspicion about the identity of the mysterious figure that had appeared among the legendary ranks. After all, this candidate emerged after he initiated the Spartan project and awakened Dr. Halsey. Tang Xiao's guess proved correct. The conditions for John 117's awakening were indeed tied to the Spartan project's progress and Dr. Halsey's awakening. Additionally, it required significant advancements in the Spartan project, not just the creation of a folder. Another condition was having a sphere of influence at least at the star sector level and being in a state of war or potential conflict. John 117 did not engage in much conversation with Tang Xiao. Upon awakening, the first thing he said was, "Where is the enemy?" Tang Xiao informed him that although a contract had just been concluded, the outbreak of war was inevitable. John 117 simply replied, "I'll be ready," and then walked away. Dr. Halsey watched John 117's retreating figure, opened the door, and asked, "How do you feel, John?" "Very good. In fact, I never felt like I had a problem," John 117 replied, raising his hand and clenching his fist, still facing away. "No, there is a problem. The place you are about to go is very far away. We cannot provide you with effective logistics and support there. I have to ensure everything is foolproof," Dr. Halsey said, shaking her head. "I know, the planet Mandalore," John 117 responded. "I've heard Rethoth and the others talk about this planet. The Mandalorian Crusaders are respectable warriors. I am honored to stand side by side with them and help them rebuild their former glory." At that moment, a beep sounded from a nearby facility. Several data cables connected to John 117 released a burst of condensed mist before detaching from his body with a sizzling sound. The surrounding machinery began to move, and a gantry over 2 meters high slid along rails to cover him. 4 flexible mechanical arms started assembling the parts of his power armor. The disassembled Crusader Type 1 power armor had hundreds of parts, but with the efficient and precise movements of the robotic arms, it was assembled in less than 3 minutes. John 117 then slowly turned around, looked at the 2 people in front of him, nodded lightly, and greeted them simply, "Grand Duke, Doctor." Tang Xiao observed the majestic and formidable warrior before him and nodded slightly. Although John 117's power armor was also Crusader Type 1, its appearance was vastly different from the one driven by Huang Yehao earlier. In fact, it closely resembled the well-known Thor's Hammer power armor. The paint had been changed to military green, and the full-coverage helmet with panoramic projection equipment appeared orange from the outside, concealing all of John 17's expressions and making him look as ruthless as a machine. Dr. Halsey explained, "This power armor was custom-made for John 117. Considering the subsequent design of Thor's Hammer power armor, I fully referenced its appearance characteristics. Thor's hammer and designed this Crusader 1 type of power armor has been modified. This way, John can easily adapt when changing the armor in the future. Thank you very much for your help, Doctor. I like Theo's power armor very much," John 117 said. At this moment, Tang Xiao raised his voice and spoke seriously. "Soldier John, number 117. Yes." John 117 immediately stood at attention and saluted, as precise and swift as a machine. "I officially appoint you as the first-class Master Chief of the Navy of the Principality of Dawn. First, go to the planet Semmels and report to the Infinity, the first ship of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier. After that, you will use the Infinity as your base of operations to cooperate with the Mandalorians, led by Jango Fett, in carrying out a national liberation movement. Your first commander is Admiral Severance Tan, and in addition, you will also accept my direct leadership. Tang Xiao declared solemnly. Yes. Master Chief John 117 saluted vigorously again, his voice extremely firm. The mission will be completed. Remember, your task is only to cooperate with Jango Fett's actions. What you represent are the interests of the Principality of Dawn. If the content of the action conflicts with the interests of the Principality of Dawn, then you have the right to handle it from your own position. If you can't decide, I always have a dedicated line here for you. Tang Xiao instructed. Yes. The Master Chief answered without any hesitation. An inexplicable smile appeared on the corner of Tang Xiao's mouth, and he said, Actually, I originally planned to have a test between you and Shi Aimin, but Shi Aimin is still in the model sector, assisting Director Peggy Carter with a task, so let's change the test to another person. Come on, hit me. He waved his hand casually. Grand Duke, please confirm this order. The Master Chief was a little surprised because, in his opinion, Tang Xiao looked only about 1.78 meters in height, and his figure was not considered strong, even a little thin. Compared to his own height of 2.03 meters, standing in front of Tang Xiao was like a giant. He was very worried that he would kill Tang Xiao with just one punch. This is my order. You don't need to activate the power armor. Just use your own strength to punch me with all your strength. Don't worry, if you can really beat me to death, I will make you an admiral immediately, Tang Xiao said calmly. Yes, I'm starting. The Master Chief nodded, raised his fist, and shook it to indicate that he was about to punch. Then, he punched Tang Xiao hard in the chest. This punch even brought up a strong wind in the surrounding air. The air in front of the fist was compressed at an extremely fast speed, creating a faint roar. Bang! The fist was blocked by an invisible force less than 10 centimeters from Tang Xiao's chest. The huge force collided, and the impact caused even the instruments and facilities around the laboratory to rattle. Chapter 1786, Galactic Empire Navy Reform 1. Your Excellency, I think your behavior just now was very irrational, Dr. Halsey said coldly on the way back from the laboratory. You don't understand the power of the Spartans at all. Although I know you possess some mysterious force, even an armored vehicle couldn't withstand John 117's punch. However, Tang Xiao still had an excited look on his face. He grinned. That punch made me feel a joy I haven't experienced in a long time. Ha ha ha. I told you, Halsey, if he can really kill me, I would immediately make him an admiral. You would be dead at that time. Who would you turn to for cashing it in? Dr. Halsey retorted. Just cash it in with me, Tang Xiao replied. Well, that is a good joke. It sounds interesting, Dr. Halsey said calmly. When you face death, you will understand what I mean, Tang Xiao said meaningfully. He took out his communicator, looked at it, and said, Newt Gunray has sent good news. The first ship of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier, the Infinity, has officially completed its sea trials and has been put into active service in the Navy of the Principality of Dawn. In 7 days, I will pass through Hut space and go to the planet Semmels to participate in the maiden voyage ceremony. Although I don't want to interfere in politics, if you appear publicly on the planet Semmels at this time, it might not look good for the Galactic Empire. There is a possibility of another war, Dr. Halsey warned. I will still give Palpatine face. Therefore, I will not make a public appearance, Tang Xiao said. However, how could I miss the maiden voyage of such a super battleship? Ha 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 ha. I will take the Master Chief, Jango Fett, and the Mandalorians with me. Before that, you need to prepare them thoroughly. Halsey stopped. They had reached the entrance to the laboratory. She had many things to do and had no intention of leaving. She just said to Tang Xiao's retreating back, They will definitely be ready for everything. You won't let me down, I'm sure, Tang Xiao said, waving his hand as he gradually walked away. At the same time, compared to the slowdown in the pace of warship updates in the Principality of Dawn, the actions on the Galactic Empire's side were very frequent and intensive. After signing a peace treaty with the Principality of Dawn, the Galactic Empire completed the finalization and commissioning of the Empire-class Star Destroyer, Tracker-class aircraft carrier, Vindicator-class heavy cruiser, and Victory II-class Star Destroyer in the past 6 months. Yes, you read that right. it does include the Victory II class Star Destroyer. Although this type of Star Destroyer was designed by Willix Blissex, who was already with the Rendili Star Power Company at the time, and the Rendili Star Power Company had rebelled against the Galactic Republic, the Victory II class Star Destroyers are still in service with the Galactic Empire. After careful comparison, the Navy headquarters of the Galactic Empire believed that the 900-meter-long Victory II class Star Destroyer was a valuable addition compared to the 1,600-meter-long Empire-class Star Destroyer and the 600-meter-long Vindicator-class heavy cruiser. The smaller and more flexible Victory II class Star Destroyer could perform more assault missions on the interstellar battlefield. The design of the Victory II class Star Destroyer was submitted as one of the last efforts made by the Rendili Star Dynamics Corporation before their rebellion. At that time, the senior leaders of the Galactic Republic wanted to suppress Rendili and support Kuat, so they found some flimsy excuses to reject the Victory II class Star Destroyer plan. Now, after ruling out some of the political factors that supported the Kuat Dynamics dockyard, the Imperial Navy headquarters has re-evaluated the Victory II class Star Destroyer objectively and found that the design of this Star Destroyer was indeed valuable. The Knight-class Star Destroyer is a remarkable vessel. Despite being several grades smaller than the 1,600-meter Empire-class Star Destroyer, its combat performance is not significantly inferior. Following the catastrophic defeat in the model sector, Kuat Power Shipyard was held primarily responsible for the failure. Although the new Kuat's leadership attempted to shift the blame onto Onana Kuat, who had committed suicide, the shipyard still had to face the consequences. After evaluating the Victory II class Star Destroyer, the Galactic Empire Naval Headquarters decided to terminate the order for the Knight-class Star Destroyer. Instead, they transferred the data of the Victory II class Star Destroyer to Corellian Engineering Company for production. As the oldest industrial giant in the galaxy, Corellian Engineering Company had been the Republic's main warship supplier since its founding. Producing Victory II class Star Destroyers was a straightforward task for them, and they welcomed the large military order despite some dissatisfaction over not designing the ship themselves. In response, Corellian Engineering Company launched the Star Defender project, aiming to design and build their own large battleship to replace the Victory II class. They invested 10 billion Empire credits to establish a new company, form a team, and recruit talent. However, Emperor Palpatine personally halted the project 3 months later, as he had more critical work for the company, a super top-secret project known to no more than 10 people at the time, codenamed DS-1. The Knight-class Star Destroyer was completely decommissioned after 1 year of service. This was partly due to the punishment and liquidation of Kuat Dynamics Shipyard, and partly because the Star Destroyer had poor timing and luck. However, several generals from the Navy of the Principality of Dawn who had fought against the Knight-class Star Destroyer held it in high regard. In many battles, the Knight-class Star Destroyer proved to be one of the most challenging opponents for the Dawn Principality Navy, even more so than the 8,000-meter-long Commander II-class Dreadnought. The Commander II-class Dreadnoughts were few in number and were modified from older Commander-class Dreadnoughts, which had inherent limitations. Despite their massive size, their combat effectiveness was not proportionate. Additionally, Commander II-class Dreadnoughts typically served as fleet flagships and rarely engaged directly in battle. When they did appear, it was often in situations where the outcome was already decided and they were besieged by large fleets or faced the Xuanwu Titan battleship. In contrast, the Knight-class Star Destroyer frequently appeared on various battlefields in groups of 5 to 10 ships and was often used as an assault force by the Galactic Republic's naval generals. Each time they launched an attack, their 1,600-meter-long hulls and the powerful firepower of 60 heavy turbo-laser cannons made them formidable adversaries. 60 ion cannons posed a significant and direct threat to the warships of the Dawn Principality. Throughout the battles, one of the primary concerns for the naval generals of the Principality of Dawn was devising strategies to combat the formidable Knight-class Star Destroyers. End of chapter. Chapter 1787, Galactic Empire Navy Reform, 2. On the battlefield where the Knight-class Star Destroyer appears, the fleet commander of the Kingdom of Dawn must deploy specific battleships to counter it. Sometimes they send in the Hell's Angel class, other times the Coal class. Smaller warships must be kept as far away as possible from this super firepower monster equipped with a full 120 turrets. Even this is often not enough, as the Knight-class Star Destroyer's extremely strong shield makes it an incredibly difficult target to destroy. To combat the Knight class, the fleet commander of the Principality of Dawn also had to mobilize the Disaster-class battlecruiser and use particle light spear bombing. However, using the particle light spear, an ultra-long-range strike weapon, on the Knight-class Star Destroyer is a huge waste of firepower. It's like using all the ultimate moves of an ADC to take down a single target in a group fight. It's a significant loss. As a result, in the battles involving the Knight-class Star Destroyers, the losses of small and medium-sized battleships in the Kingdom of Dawn were much higher than usual, thanks to the rampaging Knight-class Star Destroyers. Strictly speaking, as Willix Blissex commented, the Knight-class Star Destroyer is absolutely strong, but this strength is based on its massive 1,600-meter-long frame, built around the SFS LA-2B giant ionization reactor that occupies almost one-fifth of its volume. Although the Knight-class Star Destroyer is majestic on the battlefield, its broad three-dimensional triangular shape means its overall volume is almost equivalent to a Hell's Angel-class battleship of more than 1,100 meters, more than twice that of a cruiser. Under such circumstances, it is still impossible to obtain an absolute advantage on the battlefield, which speaks volumes about how this model of warship is evaluated. Willix Blissex was spot on. It could have been better. The Knight-class Star Destroyer uses the size of the Galactic Republic Galactic Empire to bully smaller forces, employing something that, while not very efficient, is powerful enough to fight directly and unreasonably. It's like using a big axe to deal with the finely crafted daggers of the Dawn Principality. Because of this, the battlefield performance of the Knight-class Star Destroyer is actually not bad. But why was the Knight-class Star Destroyer eliminated in just 1 year? It's because every battle the Knight-class Star Destroyer participated in was lost. Not only were the battles lost, but the two crucial battles were both fleets formed with the Knight-class Star Destroyer as the core, the raid in the model sector and the assault on the Yago Dur system. Strictly speaking, these failures had other objective factors and cannot be entirely blamed on the Knight-class Star Destroyer. However, both the Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire needed to characterize these two tragic failures and find a scapegoat. On a larger scale, it was naturally Quat Power Shipyard and Onana Quat who took the blame. On a smaller scale, it was frontline commanders Cassio Tag and Gideon Tarkin who took the blame. In terms of technology, the one who took the blame was naturally the Knight-class Star Destroyer. But why was Lila Blissex, the designer of the Knight-class Star Destroyer and the chief engineer of the Quat Power Yard, unaffected, simply because she is now Mrs. Wessex? Yes, Lila has married Dunn and is now called Lila Wessex. Who dares to put the blame on the wife of the King of the North, Dunn Wessex? Tired of living? Didn't you see that Emperor Palpatine attended their wedding? As for the Knight-class Star Destroyer, Lila Wessex's statement is very simple. The Knight-class Star Destroyer was originally a prototype ship used for testing. Have you ever seen a regular battleship without a hangar platform? This type of battleship was intended as a technical reserve for the Archon-class Star Destroyer. However, Onana Kuat, driven by greed and selfish interests, forcibly promoted the immature model sector raid war. She submitted the Knight-class Star Destroyer as an official battleship for review and bribed officials from the Republic's Battleship Manufacturing Regulatory Commission to get it approved. Despite its participation in several battles, the Knight-class Star Destroyer could not prevent defeat. Onana Kuat suppressed these failures to gain command power for the model sector raid battle. This explanation perfectly shifts the blame for the model sector assault battle's failure onto Onana Kuat. The failure was attributed not only to inadequate battle preparation, but also to the battleship's poor performance. This maneuver absolved Dun Wessex and Lila Wessex of responsibility and even removed the blame from frontline commander Cassio Tag. The Tag family, being one of the wealthy families in the inner circle, was spared significant repercussions. All the blame was placed on Onana Kuat, who was already deceased. Her family, including her son and husband, were implicated, their property confiscated, and they were expelled from the Kuat planet to wander elsewhere. No one cared about their fate. The person behind these ruthless actions was her nephew, the current head of Kuat, Xiao Kuat. Such are the consequences for losers in political struggles. In the new round of the Galactic Empire Navy procurement plan, several ships and fighters that once shined in the Clone Wars are set to be replaced. These include the Commander 2-class dreadnoughts, Knight-class star destroyers, Carrack-class light cruisers, Jaeger-class battlecruisers, Consul-class cruisers, CR-70 frigates, DP-20 gunboats, V-19 Riptide light fighters, ARC-C-170 heavy fighters, Delta-7 fighters, and Eta-2 fighters. The most important replacement is the Archon-class star destroyer. While the Knight-class star destroyers were targeted by the Principality of Dawn on the front lines, Kuat Power Shipyard and Lila Wessex were not idle. Lila continuously summarized the weaknesses and errors of the Knight-class star destroyers and corrected them promptly. Through her connections with Dun Wessex, she learned that the Knight-class star destroyer was about to be phased out. The Archon-class star destroyer, being similar to the Knight-class, needed significant improvements to be justified. Lila Wessex initiated a modification plan for the Archon-class star destroyer. She found the design plan for the Victory 2-class star destroyer, designed by her father, Willix Blissex, a true ship design genius. With her connections, obtaining data and instructions on the Victory 2-class star destroyer from the Republic Shipbuilding Supervision Committee was not difficult. Lila knew that her father's design philosophy was superior to her own. More importantly, their design philosophies were aligned, allowing them to complement each other effectively. Thus, the design of the Knight-class star destroyer and the Archon-class star destroyer began anew, incorporating lessons learned and improvements inspired by the Victory 2-class star destroyer. Willix Blissex departed from the Kuat Power Dockyard. Chapter 1788, Galactic Empire Navy Reform, 3. The design of the Archon-class star destroyer borrowed heavily from the Victory 2-class star destroyers, particularly in the layout of the energy system. By improving the reactor's efficiency and reducing energy transmission losses, the energy utilization rate of the Archon-class star destroyer increased by approximately 15%. To address the frequent entanglement with enemy fighters during battles, which often resulted in significant losses, the Archon-class star destroyer was equipped with 40-point defense laser turrets. Additionally, the deflector shield generator's position was redesigned to prevent sudden attacks from enemy fighters. Beyond these major adjustments, numerous detailed improvements were made to the Archon-class star destroyer, making it significantly stronger than the Knight-class star destroyer. These enhancements were implemented around 6 months ago, coinciding with the reorganization of the Galactic Republic into the Galactic Empire and Palpatine's ascension to the throne as Emperor. As part of this transition, a grand tribute was made with an improved Archon-class star destroyer. This tribute was part of an agreement between the Kuat Drive Yards and Dun Wessex, reached after significant negotiations. Dun Wessex needed to rectify his mistakes from the Model Sector raid battle and ensure that his wife's design remained the main battleship of the Imperial Navy. Consequently, he accepted Kuat's proposal, agreeing to assist the Kuat Drive Yards and receiving substantial benefits in return, making it a mutually advantageous arrangement. For this tribute, Kuat Drive Yards invested all its resources into a meticulous design. Emperor Palpatine was invited to personally witness the tribute. Kuat Drive Yards selected a small planet with a diameter of about 6,000 kilometers, inhabited by uncivilized tribal civilizations. They installed extensive surveillance equipment across the planet, particularly in tribal settlements, and created numerous artificial landscapes, including massive rail turrets, tanks, and high-rise buildings. Although these structures were fake, their city-level scale incurred significant costs. To attract the primitive tribes, Kuat drive yards placed large quantities of food within these artificial landscapes. The tribes, still worshipping the man who fell from the sky, and awed by the sudden appearance of enormous buildings and abundant food, believed they had been blessed by the gods. However, disaster was imminent. Emperor Palpatine arrived near the planet in an observation spaceship, surrounded by countless projection screens displaying every key part of the planet. 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers took their positions, and Dun Wessex gave the order for an all-out orbital bombardment of the planet. The Star Destroyers unleashed their 60 twin heavy turbolaser cannons with full force, raining down terrifying firepower. Additionally, all missile launchers on the Star Destroyers were equipped with powerful nuclear missiles. As the turbolaser cannons bombarded the planet, the nuclear missiles followed, exploding with light as bright as the sun. The primitive tribes, who were feasting and gathering food in the artificial landscapes, were annihilated almost instantly. Man-made buildings were obliterated, tank models were blown away and melted, and massive railguns were reduced to ruins. Native creatures and tribes slightly further from the bombing center fled in panic, witnessing the sheer destructive power of the Galactic Empire's new weaponry. Every inch of the planet's surface was under relentless orbital bombardment. The oceans boiled, the earth burned, and the mountains were leveled. Violent tectonic movements formed new volcanoes, which erupted alongside magnitude 9 earthquakes. In just half a day, the planet was transformed into a hellish landscape of endless lava. Emperor Palpatine observed all of this through ubiquitous surveillance equipment and drones. In truth, he didn't need these devices. He could feel the planet's death through the Force. The destruction of countless creatures brought a wail and pain to the Force, serving as nourishment for the dark side. While Palpatine reveled in the chaos, Court arranged for 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers to conduct combat exercises with 5 Knight-class Star Destroyers after a brief resupply. This exercise was meticulously planned. The crews of the 5 Knight-class Star Destroyers were former Navy personnel deemed deserters and failures during previous raids in the model sector and the assault on the Yago-Dur system. Kuart promised them that if they could defeat the 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers, they would be absolved of all guilt. Dun Wessex saw this as the perfect appetizer to present to Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine would experience the despair of these men through the monitoring systems installed on the bridges of the Knight-class Star Destroyers, as well as their internal control and damage control departments. Although the deserters believed they had an advantage with a 5-on-2 scenario, they were unaware that Kuart and Dun Wessex never intended for them to survive. The 5 Knight-class Star Destroyers were not in optimal condition, with their engine energy supply at only about half capacity. If they couldn't destroy the 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers quickly, their ships would soon run out of energy. Additionally, if attacked, their energy would deplete even faster. To ensure no accidents, a proton bomb was hidden in the energy core, ready to be detonated by a precise and fatal shot from the Archon-class Star Destroyers. The asymmetrical confrontation began swiftly. The 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers, commanded by elite Camino clones, launched fighters from their hangar platforms. Each Archon-class Star Destroyer deployed 16 V-Wing fighters, 16 ARC-170 heavy fighters, and 16 V-19 light fighters, with the V-19s converted into 10 Y-Wing bombers for this demonstration. Nearly 100 fighters from the 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers launched a fierce bombardment against the Knight-class Star Destroyers. The Knight-class Star Destroyers lacked hangar platforms and effective anti-aircraft firepower. Their tampered fire control systems left them vulnerable. As the Knight-class Star Destroyers were entangled by the fighter groups, the 2 Archon-class Star Destroyers closed in. With superior power and firepower, they quickly defeated the 5 Knight-class Star Destroyers, destroying all ships. Emperor Palpatine was very satisfied. He saw and felt the desperate cries of those on board the 5 Knight-class Star Destroyers. This gift pleased him immensely. Excited, Palpatine immediately decided that the Archon-class Star Destroyers would be mass-produced as the main battleships of the Galactic Empire Navy. To commemorate the founding of the Galactic Empire, The Archon-class Star Destroyer would be renamed the Imperial I-class Star Destroyer. Thank you to Xin Changkong Quishan for the 300 starting coins, and a big thanks to the great and glorious human civilization, Long Live, for the 100 starting coins. Chapter 1789, Galactic Empire Navy Reform, 4. In fact, Palpatine has another advantage. He knows when to delegate. For areas outside his expertise, he entrusts those who are knowledgeable and provides them with full support. Except for occasional interventions using the dark side of the Force, he refrains from micromanagement. He also avoids pretending to understand things he doesn't, which could lead to disastrous outcomes. For instance, Palpatine is not well versed in military affairs. Consequently, he does not meddle in fleet command, leaving it to his marshals and generals. This approach has allowed him to form many alliances and friendships since his time on Naboo. After becoming the Speaker, he further empowered these individuals to fulfill their duties across various domains. With the establishment of the Galactic Empire, these former friends have thrived, contributing to the Empire in different capacities. In the realm of battleship construction, Palpatine typically refrains from interfering in specific matters. However, he does set certain overarching requirements, such as the need for immense power or the capability to destroy a planet. Once he sets the direction, he focuses solely on the results, leaving the methods to his subordinates. Tang Xiao shares a similar philosophy. He understands the importance of specialization and delegates tasks outside his expertise to others, rarely interfering. However, it is crucial to note that both Palpatine and Tang Xiao are driven by the concept of one Sith. This ideology does not imply solitary rule, but rather absolute dominance over the galaxy, with everyone else reduced to servitude. These slaves handle various responsibilities, freeing the master to focus on growing stronger and seeking eternal life. Tang Xiao, however, is somewhat different. His upbringing before time travel was vastly different from Palpatine's, leading him to prioritize national power growth. He believes that only a strong nation can ensure his own strength. Palpatine, on the other hand, views the state merely as a tool to achieve his personal goals, indifferent to its well-being. This flawed perspective contributed to the repeated rebellions within the Galactic Empire in the original plot, ultimately leading to its downfall at the hands of the Rebel Alliance and subsequent warlord chaos. Another factor is that Palpatine inherited a deeply flawed and complex Galactic Republic. He had to make numerous compromises and sacrifices to ascend to power. Moreover, his trusted associates were often tainted by the corrupt political environment of the Republic, preventing them from effectively guiding the Empire. In contrast, Tang Xiao's Liming Principality is a nascent regime. While it cannot completely eradicate corruption, the overall trend within its officialdom remains relatively clean and efficient. This is partly because the current officials are still in the early stages of their careers, driven by the spirit of entrepreneurship. Additionally, the Principality of Dawn benefits from a vast talent pool provided by the Mothership, ensuring a steady influx of capable individuals and maintaining its vitality. Corruption is a persistent issue, so we delegate tasks to those below us. Individuals who can be utilized by Tang Xiao and Palpatine possess significant advantages. Although their numbers are small, they can guide the country's development and ensure the Dawn Principality stays on course. The majority, who form the backbone of our talent pool, may not influence the country's direction, but can impact the speed and outcomes of our work. This balance will stabilize over time. Otherwise, it will continue to expand uncontrollably. Emperor Palpatine was elated during the grand and bloody battleship dedication orchestrated by Dun Wessex and Little Quat. While he couldn't grasp the technical data of the battleships, he recognized their immense destructive power. Dun Wessex, one of his favored generals, had nearly completed the rigorous work at the Quat Power Dockyard. Continuing the pressure could lead to issues, so it was time to offer a reward. Consequently, Palpatine approved the large-scale production of the Archon-class Star Destroyer, renaming it the Imperial-class Star Destroyer. From that day forward, the Imperial-class Star Destroyer became a symbol of the Galactic Empire's might. Under Little Quat's leadership, the Quat Power Dockyard formed a new military-industrial alliance with Dun Wessex. They emerged from the shadow of their defeat in the Model Sector raid and began their path to recovery. Simultaneously, another industrial giant was undergoing transformation during the establishment of the Galactic Empire, the former Republic CNR Systems. Founded by the Raynor family 1,500 years ago, the company had not been particularly large or prominent. However, a turning point came 100 years ago when the Raynor family merged with the Santha family through marriage, combining with the Santha family's Santha Security Company. The Santha family, though not prominent, had deep ties with the Galactic Republic's military. After the Rusan reform, as the Republic's military power waned, quasi-armed companies like Santha Security became the preferred choice for many noble families to protect their lives and property. The Santha family aspired to advance in the military sector, but lacked the necessary technical expertise. Thus, the merger with the Raynor family was mutually beneficial, with the Santha family taking a controlling position while the Raynor family retained control over ship design and construction. This merger led to the rapid development of Republic CNR Systems, now a subsidiary of CNR Technologies. With the Santha family's influence, they joined the Interstellar Banking Association, co-chaired at the time by Tang Xiao's master, Hago Damask II. These chapters will introduce the changes in the Imperial Navy, which will become the main adversary of the Fourth Civilization in the future. Additionally, they will provide background on the origins of several battleships and companies that will become familiar in the narrative. Chapter 1790, Galactic Empire Navy Reform 5. Hago Damask II, also known as Darth Plagueis, was a Sith Lord whose master, Darth Tenebris, was a renowned ship designer in the galaxy. When Hago Damask II served as co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association, he prioritized investing in enterprises related to shipbuilding and other industries. Instead of investing in the three giants, Lundili, Quart, and Corellia, due to their high costs and established dominance, Hago chose to support smaller, emerging enterprises with unique characteristics, such as Republic CNR Systems. Joining the Interstellar Banking Association allowed Republic CNR Systems to develop rapidly, and they became closely associated with the Sith. The Sith Infiltrator, which Darth Plagueis gifted to Darth Maul, was designed and manufactured by Republic CNR Systems. To meet Darth Plagueis's needs, Republic CNR Systems established a subsidiary called CNR Design Systems, which specifically designed and built the Sith Infiltrator. When Tang Xiao used the design of the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship to lure Darth Plagueis, Plagueis remained cautious. To prevent his plan from being discovered by Darth Sidious, he did not involve Republic CNR Systems. This inadvertently protected Republic CNR Systems, as after Darth Plagueis's death, his industries were reorganized under the control of Moon Saimid, who was already aligned with Tang Xiao. Consequently, Tang Xiao could not extend his influence to Republic CNR Systems, which he considered a missed opportunity. By that time, Republic CNR Systems had already experienced over 60 years of development under the Interstellar Banking Association's banner, making it too large for the newly established Fourth Civilization to influence. Tang Xiao did not dwell on this missed opportunity. Later, the talented Wraith CNR became the CEO of Republic CNR Systems. He was an excellent engineer and entrepreneur, but a poor politician. Under his leadership, Republic CNR Systems saw significant and continuous improvement. Wraith CNR's technical prowess helped the company secure more orders and elevate its status. He was also a close friend of Wilhuff Tarkin, and the two shared similar philosophies and maintained close contact. At that time, however, Tarkin's status was relatively low, serving as the deputy governor in charge of security in the Sethwena sector. When the war broke out and Count Dooku's influence spread, Republic CNR Systems began to hedge their bets. They manufactured weapons, equipment, and warships for both the Galactic Republic and the Confederation of Independent Systems, aiding both sides in the conflict. This dual allegiance led to extensive investigations by the Parliament, and Republic CNR Systems faced severe penalties and the threat of dissolution. This situation was orchestrated by Palpatine, who quietly intervened to help Wraith CNR when he was in a desperate situation. After the dissolution of Republic CNR Systems, a new company, CNR Fleet Systems, was secretly established. Here, Wraith CNR fully utilized his engineering talents to design a new generation of weapons and equipment for Palpatine. Wraith CNR's first major success was the design of the LA-2B ionization reactor, a super ionization reactor with immense power output. This reactor was provided to Quat Power Dockyard, where Lyra Blissex, the chief engineer, used it in the design of the Knight-class Star Destroyer and Archon-class Star Destroyer. Destroyer was contemplating how to maximize the use of the large energy supply from the LA-2B ionization reactor. Her design direction was essentially to encase the LA-2B reactor within a battleship shell. As mentioned in the previous chapter, the Knight-class Star Destroyer's power lies in its size, the might of imperial industry, and the LA-2B ionization reactor designed by Lathe Chinese. However, it wasn't solely her design that made it powerful. Additionally, Rice Chiner designed and built the Vindicator-class heavy cruiser. Thanks to his strong relationship with Wilhuff Tarkin, 10 prototypes of this warship were produced in advance. These were directly provided to Gideon Tarkin, Governor Tarkin's younger brother, who was attacking the Yago-Dur system at the time. The Knight-class Star Destroyers and Archon-class Star Destroyers, which utilized Sheena Fleet System products, along with the Vindicator-class heavy cruiser's wide acclaim, laid a robust foundation for the future. This was especially true after the Archon-class Star Destroyer was renamed the Imperial-class Star Destroyer and became the main battleship of the Galactic Empire, significantly elevating the status of the Xena Fleet System. With the Emperor's support, Xena Fleet Systems Corporation took over all the properties of the former Republic Xena Systems Corporation after it was disbanded by the Galactic Republic. They also cooperated extensively with Quat Power Dockyard, gaining substantial resources and funds by providing large quantities of LA-2B ionization reactors. This allowed the Xena Fleet System to develop at an unprecedented speed, opening countless production lines, laboratories, and factories. At this time, although Xena Fleet Systems was still a subsidiary of the Santer Xena Technology Group, Rice Xena's influence had already surpassed that of the head office. The CEO of Xena Fleet Systems also traditionally served as the executive director of the Santer Xena Technology Group. One of Rice Chiner's current undertakings is a plan to completely replace and upgrade the Galactic Empire's fighter series. This plan, named Project Tai, has already begun preliminary testing. Consequently, the Galactic Empire abandoned its purchase plans for the V-19 Riptide Light Fighter, ARC-170 Heavy Fighter, Eta-2 Fighter, and Delta-7 Fighter, which were once the main fighters of the Galactic Republic, in a new round of military procurement. The only fighter retained was the V-Wing Alpha Holy Light Fighter, which still boasted advanced performance. However, the V-Wing will also be phased out within the next 2 years, to be fully replaced by fighters produced by the Xena Fleet System. Additionally, as a close friend of Wilhuff Tarkin, Rice Chiner played a key role in Tarkin's core ideology, particularly the concept of the Super Battle Space Station, DS-1. In fact, it was Les Xena who conceived this idea. Now, Xena Fleet Systems is also a member of the massive DS-1 plan. As the Galactic Republic disintegrated, internal interests began to reorganize. Due to the betrayal of Rendili Interstellar Power Company, the Galactic Empire's military industry was redivided. Xena Fleet Systems, Quat Power Dockyard, and Corellian Engineering Company emerged as the new 3 industrial giants of the Galactic Empire. Quat Dynamic Shipyard produces large warships. Xena Fleet System produces small and medium-sized warships and fighter jets, and Corellian Engineering Company, with its deep-rooted background, is involved in various sectors, though not extensively. Corellian Engineering's dominance in the civilian spacecraft market remains unchallenged. Chapter 1791, Galactic Empire Navy Reform, 6. For the Galactic Empire, the establishment of the new 3 industrial giants marks a significant turning point. The Imperial Navy is set to completely shed the shadow of the Galactic Republic and enter its own era. With new industrial giants, new battleships, new officers and soldiers, and new tactics, the Empire is poised for a transformation. The introduction of the Tracer-class aircraft carrier and the Vindicator-class heavy cruiser represents the Galactic Empire's attempt to explore the cooperation of multiple ship types. Unlike the original plot, where the Empire focused primarily on the construction of Imperial-class Star Destroyers, with few other ships, the current situation has shifted. The weakening of the Kuat dynasty dockyard and the impact of the new naval tactics of the Principality of Dawn have led the Empire to increase its focus on other warships. The Secutor-class carrier, a 2,200-meter-long ship, is modified from the hull of the Jaeger-class battlecruiser. It features a flat and wide hull. Originally designed as a carrier, it is not just an aircraft carrier, but a versatile vessel. In addition to carrying 144 carrier-based aircraft, it can also transport 14,000 Marines and a large number of ground armor units, with enough supplies to support operations for 2 years. The Tracker-class battlecruiser was initially defined as a Star Destroyer, not because of its firepower, which is primarily for self-defense, but due to its ability to carry fighters and ground troops capable of directly suppressing a planet. However, the construction plan for the Tracker-class Star Destroyer has been revised to create the Tracker-class aircraft carrier. By removing the Marine Corps barracks and the hangar for Army armor units, significant space was freed up. This space was used to add a fighter takeoff and landing platform and 10 sets of ejection devices. The Tracker class now boasts 3 fighter takeoff and landing platforms, 30 sets of ejection devices, and a capacity for 400 aircraft. It also includes a complete fighter maintenance and repair platform and a separate hangar for each fighter. The Tracker-class aircraft carrier will now serve as a professional aircraft carrier in the Galactic Empire's naval sequence. The Cheer-class assault landing ship, which was originally planned to be replaced by the Tracker-class Star Destroyer, will remain in the Galactic Empire's army, tasked with transporting troops. The Vindicator-class heavy cruiser is the first large-scale warship designed after the establishment of China Fleet Systems Company. It inherits the meticulous craftsmanship of the former Republic's China Fleet Systems Company. The design of the entire warship is very detailed. Despite being only 600 meters long, it is equipped with numerous turrets and close defense systems capable of easily destroying nearby fighter formations. It also boasts excellent maneuverability and protection capabilities. To meet the current needs of the Galactic Empire Navy, the Vindicator-class heavy cruiser has strengthened its air defense capabilities and serves as a full-time fleet air defense force. Its 600-meter length allows it to tear apart small enemy warships with its low power but extremely dense firepower. Once the Vindicator-class heavy cruiser appears, it will undoubtedly play a crucial role in the Galactic Empire's naval strategy. On the battlefield, small units such as enemy frigates, fighters, and light destroyers will suffer devastating blows. This design specifically targets the frigate sea tactics that the Principality of Dawn has employed multiple times. The Vindicator class was designed with the Javelin-class guided missile frigates, Roughhead Sperdar-class light frigates, and Cobalt Alloy-class frigates of the Principality of Dawn in mind. Additionally, the Galactic Empire Navy has initiated a modification plan for the classic Acclamator-class assault landing ship. They have proposed the Acclamator II-class assault ship, which has already seen limited deployment. The primary function of the Acclamator II-class assault ship is orbital bombardment. By removing the space for soldiers and ground armor units, the ship is equipped with extensive orbital bombing equipment. Coupled with the neutron material armor derived from the original Acclamator class, this assault ship becomes even more formidable. This type of assault ship can leverage its nearly indestructible defense capabilities to break through local blockades and directly bomb enemy planets, catching opponents off guard. The design concept of the Acclamator II-class assault ship originated during the Clone Wars. Fleet commanders often faced the dilemma of whether to bomb the planet with their warships or engage the enemy fleet. With the Acclamator II class, they can now send the heavily armored ship to bomb the planet under enemy fire, putting the opposing fleet in a difficult position. Before the enemy can sink the resilient Acclamator II class assault ship, the powerful Imperial fleet will have ample time to deliver a devastating blow to the enemy fleet. Simultaneously, the Galactic Empire Navy has enhanced its frigate designs. They upgraded the CR-70 frigate to the more advanced and faster 150-meter-long CR-90 frigate and developed the Predator-class frigate. The 195-meter-long Predator-class frigate is a high-speed assault warship designed to replace the former Carrack-class light cruiser. In addition to its high speed and firepower, the Predator-class frigate can carry 12 fighters or 8 bombers. The Predator-class frigate is part of the Galactic Empire's naval expansion, particularly in the Corporate Sector Authority, CSA. The CSA was a semi-neutral force active in the outer ring of the galaxy, primarily a loose organization of illegal enterprises, pirates, and tax evaders. During the Clone Wars, the CSA sided with the Confederacy of Independent Systems against the Galactic Republic. However, the nature of businessmen led them to withdraw from the war when the Confederacy began losing ground. Their location in the northern border of the Milky Way, within the strike range of the Republic's 10th Army, left them vulnerable and quickly defeated. The Galactic Empire Navy took an interest in the Predator-class frigate built by Corellian Engineering Company for the CSA. They obtained a production license and began incorporating this frigate into their navy. The Imperial Navy's strategy is to use the Predator-class frigate for high-speed assaults, releasing all bombers upon approaching the enemy's capital ship, followed by a devastating round of proton torpedo bombing. To achieve this, the Galactic Empire equipped the Predator class with the newly developed Diamond Boron missile. The Diamond Boron missile is an exceptionally expensive piece of military hardware, with each missile costing up to 20,000 credits. In many instances, the price of a single missile surpasses that of a fighter jet. Despite its high cost, the Diamond Boron missile is renowned for its formidable capabilities. It boasts comprehensive protection features, including both active and passive defenses, allowing it to effectively ignore most laser weapon irradiation. Its ultra-high flight speed and programmed irregular evasive maneuvers make it nearly impossible to intercept. A direct hit from a Diamond Boron missile can obliterate a fighter jet in an instant. Consequently, these missiles are sometimes deployed against small and medium-sized enemy warships with significant success. If such a luxury missile were handed over to the Principality of Dawn, Tang Xiao would likely criticize it as a wasteful extravagance. However, with the integration of the Predator-class frigate into the Imperial Navy, the Principality of Dawn's fighter formation has become a formidable threat across the galaxy. In addition to the CR-90 and Predator-class frigates, both developed by Corellian Engineering, the Quat Power Shipyard has introduced its own frigate, the Vigil-class corvette. Although classified as a frigate, this 255-meter-long vessel is armed with incredibly powerful firepower, including 3 battlecruiser-level heavy-duty turbo-laser cannons. The design of the Vigil-class frigate closely resembles that of the Jaeger-class battlecruiser, but it addresses many of the Jaeger-class's wartime shortcomings. The bridge has been lowered, armor has been increased, and the ship's firepower has been more rationally arranged. As a result, the Vigil-class frigate, despite its smaller size, can play a crucial role in combat. A successful sneak attack by a Vigil-class frigate could incapacitate even a battlecruiser. With the addition of various large and small battleships of different models and purposes, the Galactic Republic Navy has been further bolstered by the Empire-class Star Destroyer and the Victory II-class destroyer. These ships, known for their classic design and artillery capabilities, have made the Imperial Navy more powerful than ever. High-ranking officials of the Empire, including Palpatine, are eagerly awaiting the completion of the TIE plan by the Sheena Fleet System to fully modernize the Imperial fleet. Once completed, the newly revamped Imperial fleet will be invincible. In the Principality of Dawn, the capital of the model sector, on the planet Anaji, Sector Governor Volgograd Kennedy descended into the planet's atmosphere aboard a shuttle. As he flew over cities in need of reconstruction, he observed the bustling activity of passenger spacecraft, cargo ships, and engineering vessels. The planet's rebirth was evident from the sky. People are always hardworking. Even after enduring the devastation of numerous battles, they rebuild their homes amidst the ruins. Despite horrific riots and internal purges, they strive to unite and form a new collective. Volgograd Kennedy had a cigar dangling from the corner of his mouth and a glass of strong liquor in his hand. He took a puff of his cigar and a sip of his drink, then instinctively glanced to his side, expecting a reprimand. However, his new adjutant, a very obedient, intelligent, and loyal individual, sat beside him. The former adjutant, He Yuan, who had once stopped his drinking and lectured him, was now under house arrest and might never be seen again. "Tell me about the recent defense arrangements," Kennedy said slowly. He squinted his eyes and leaned back in his seat, preparing to listen to the report from his subordinates. "Your Majesty the Governor, I have summarized the recent events into a report. Please take a look at it," responded a slightly unfamiliar voice. Kennedy opened his eyes and saw a young officer presenting a detailed report through the universal tool. The officer continued earnestly, "Your Majesty the Governor, please review this report, and I will interpret it for you." If it were Jin Chen, he wouldn't need to hand over repeated reports at all. By now, Jin Chen would have opened up his chat box and reported on the work in an endless and orderly manner. Kennedy could have closed his eyes, rested, and formed his own mental picture of the report, savoring it slowly. "That's enough. No need," Kennedy interrupted, waving his hand dismissively. He turned off the universal tool and took a deep breath, feeling agitated. The shuttle stopped steadily, and a group of tourists gathered outside the spaceport. They suddenly rushed forward, waving flags and shouting insults at him. "Kennedy, you are a traitor. Executioner, you massacred tens of millions of innocent civilians. We once trusted you so much, you responded with a butcher's knife. Fraud." Upon hearing the commotion, the military police immediately rushed in, pushing the radicals disguised as tourists to the ground. Despite this, the protesters continued to hurl the most unpleasant words at him. Volgograd Kennedy maintained a stoic expression and quickened his pace. Yes, everything had changed. The entire model sector had changed. It had become so strange, so cold. "I'm sorry, Mr. Governor. It was our fault for letting these people sneak in," apologized a man wearing sunglasses as he approached quickly. The man wore the badge of the Secret Intelligence Department of the Principality of Dawn on his chest, with a special horizontal bar indicating he was an official of the Ministry of Internal Affairs under the Secret Intelligence Department. Since the Great Purge in the model sector, officials from the Ministry of Internal Affairs had appeared in almost every corner of the administrative departments at all levels. They monitored these departments and officials like maggots in the Tarsus, scanning every possible factor of unrest with their sinister eyes. Chapter 1792, The Tag Family, Part 1. Volgograd Kennedy watched expressionlessly as the military and police moved out to arrest all the protesters. He had known for a long time that since the last bloody crackdown, his image in the minds of the people in the model sector had collapsed. He had already prepared for this. He didn't intend to care about these things now. He just thought that if these people wanted to hate someone, they could hate him, and that would be enough. If they hated Tang Xiao, the situation might get even worse. On the planet Anaji, with the establishment of new temporary transit cities, all immigrants would undergo half a year of forced labor and brainwashing. Coupled with the strict control of current public opinion and the in-depth popularization of education, liberal ideas would be significantly diminished. However, considering that this kind of thinking was now the mainstream of the entire galaxy, especially the Outer Ring star region, the collision between the centralized autocracy and liberal ideas of the Principality of Dawn would continue in the future. Kennedy now felt that Tang Xiao seemed to be intending to let such a thing happen in the model sector, because in comparison, the other two star districts in the Principality of Dawn, the Haven Star District and the Seth Vena Star District, were not so troubled. Although there were liberal ideas there, the control was very in place. Tang Xiao even allowed the liberals in those two sectors to form their own political parties and let them speak freely in the nominal parliament of the Dawn Principality. Of course, it was of no use. But for those liberals, it was a pie that had always been dangled in front of them, but they could never bite. Referring to some of Tang Xiao's previous actions, Kennedy felt that not only did he contribute to the riots that occurred in the model sector, but at the very least, he allowed things to unfold. However, these matters were not what Volgograd Kennedy needed to consider. He needed to meet someone now. Accompanied by his entourage, Kennedy made his way to a prison. Because of the existence of the prison planet Sanel, prisons throughout the Dawn Principality mainly held prisoners with minor crimes, so the appearance of the prisons did not look so cold and harsh. But there were still B-1 combat robots patrolling 24 hours a day, and B-2 super combat robots standing guard at key locations such as the gate. And don't doubt it, there were secret cells hidden in some unexpected places. In the secret cells, the huddled-up destroyer robots could roll out at any time and shoot all intruders into sieves. After entering the prison, Kennedy went directly to the outside of a small single-family house in the prison. These small single-family houses were used to house prisoners with special status. He opened the door and walked in. Outside was a glass wall, which isolated a small room with one bedroom and one living room for people to visit. At this moment, in the small living room inside, a man wearing a gray prison uniform was sitting on a chair, flipping through a paper book. These prisoners were not allowed to touch electronic products, but they could read books, though they were all original paper books. What surprised Volgograd Kennedy a little was that the name of the book this man was reading was 36 Strategies. "When did you suddenly become interested in these books?" Kennedy asked coldly. "Xiao Tag." This prisoner turned out to be the former Lieutenant General of the Galactic Republic, who commanded the last raid in the model sector and was defeated and surrendered on the battlefield of the Dawn planet, Xiao Tag. Xiao Tag closed the book, glanced at Kennedy, and said, "I just want to understand what kind of existence and what kind of theory it is that defeated me." He put 36 stratagems aside and saw that they were all military books. Volgograd Kennedy laughed softly and said, "You may think too highly of yourself, Mr. Tag. On the battlefield, your performance was not much different from that of a child. If you think these books will help you understand your defeat, you are mistaken. If it weren't for the fact that you led the Galactic Republic, it would be unprecedented. If you had a powerful fleet, it would only take me 1 day to defeat you," Xiao Tag said, a hint of defiance in his voice. "I am hampered by too many things. It prevents me from making correct judgments. If you give me another chance, I will never lose." Xiao Tag insisted. "Leading 5 times more troops to attack, your determination does not make it seem like you have made much progress, Mr. Tag," Kennedy replied coldly. "I will have a chance to prove myself," Xiao Tag said solemnly. "I think the opportunity will come soon," Kennedy said. "The Tag family has already arrived and is negotiating terms with the Grand Duke. The Grand Duke asked me to come over and see you, so that you and your family can meet. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the battlefield next time." Xiao Tag's face turned grim, and he averted his gaze, choosing to remain silent. At this moment, Volgograd Kennedy took out his communicator and connected to Tang Xiao's frequency band. The holographic projection flickered, revealing the figures of 2 people. One was Tang Xiao, and the other was a woman in elegant attire, appearing to be around 50 years old. As soon as he saw the woman, Xiao Tag was shocked and shouted, "Mother, why are you here?" "I am here for you, my child," the woman said with a noble demeanor. Despite the traces of age at the corners of her eyes, she was well-maintained and looked to be in her 30s. "Miss Sonia Tage is discussing your ransom with me, General Xiao," Tang Xiao said, a sarcastic smile playing on his lips. Xiao Tag gritted his teeth. "Such a thing is not worthy of your coming in person. Mother, as the leader of the Tag family, you should—" "Enough! Haven't you brought enough shame to our family?" Sonia Taggy interrupted sharply. She then turned to Tang Xiao and said, "I came here to redeem you. Additionally, I want to see what kind of person this legendary Grand Duke of Dawn is. There is also some cooperation to discuss." "Ransom," Xiao Tag's eyes twitched. "How much is my ransom?" "You don't need to know the specific amount, Xiao. Just know that the family will pay a huge price to redeem you," Sonia Taggy said coldly. "What will happen after I return to the family?" Xiao Tag asked in a deep voice. "You will join Tag Company. I plan to let you command our family's defense fleet and escort fleet to ensure that our family's caravan will not be threatened by interstellar pirates," Sonia Tage replied. Hearing this, Xiao Tag's body trembled slightly. Chapter 1793. "Madam, you don't want your son either. Lead the family defense fleet to fight against pirates." Xiao Tag's voice trembled as he spoke. Who doesn't know that our family's main business is in the inner ring and core circle? Who doesn't know that our family's defense fleet has been continuously updated for thousands of years but never dispatched? You should feel honored, Cassio, Sonia Tag replied. Our family's defense fleet has always maintained a scale of 5,000 battleships. Although it is mainly composed of small and medium-sized battleships, this scale surpasses that of most planets in the galaxy. Moreover, there are 1 million family defense troops, all of which will be under your leadership. This way, your reputation as a top student of the military academy will remain intact. She directed her words partly at Tang Xiao, who stood beside her. The Tag family was one of the founding families of the Galactic Republic, established 25,000 years ago. It is one of the oldest and most noble families in the galaxy. Their conglomerate, Tag Company, has hundreds of subsidiaries involved in various sectors, with business spanning the entire core circle and inner ring of the galaxy. As Sonia Tag mentioned, to protect their family's interests, the Tag family maintains a fleet of up to 5,000 warships and an army of 1 million people. This force remained unaffected even during the height of the Clone Wars and when Palpatine issued a decree to cancel all planetary defense fleets. Palpatine was wise enough not to challenge the intricate forces of such an ancient and powerful family, especially since the Tag family was known for its integrity. When the war broke out, they severed business ties with the 5 major corporate giants participating in the Confederation of Independent Systems and firmly supported the Republic. After the establishment of the Empire, the Tag family was among the first to support Palpatine's claim to the throne. This is why, despite the previous disastrous raid on the model sector, neither Palpatine, Dun Wessex, nor even Wilhuff Tarkin, who had a contentious relationship with Dun Wessex, considered targeting Cassio Tag, the fleet commander, for political gain. Instead, they tacitly defended Cassio Tag's actions and downplayed his defeat, even though he was clearly to blame for the disaster. Tang Xiao merely smiled at Sonia's words. 5,000 warships, mostly small and medium-sized, posed no threat to him. What puzzled him was why the Tag family, which had always supported the current government of the galaxy, suddenly took an interest in him. Even the family patriarch had come secretly. For someone of Sonia Tag's stature, every move she made attracted widespread attention. Her visit to Dawn Planet required extensive and precise preparations for disguise. However, Tang Xiao remained silent, as Cassio Tag erupted in protest. "I refuse," he shouted. Sonia Tag's elegant face contorted with anger. "What did you say? What on earth are you thinking? Are you used to being a prisoner?" "I refuse," Cassio Tag insisted. "If I go back now, it will be no different from death. If you ask me to lead the family defense fleet, does that mean the Imperial military has given up on me? Do you think that after such a disastrous defeat, the Imperial military will still use you? No, because you are not even an Imperial soldier now. You are just a captured former Galactic Republic general," Sonia Ta Gerard exclaimed, her voice tinged with disappointment. It was clear she was deeply dissatisfied with her son. "This failure should not be blamed on me," Cassio Tag shouted defensively. "Do you think the support given to you was insufficient? Do you believe you have the right to command this battle with your qualifications? Why do you think the Dark Jedi, led by John Droga and others, came to reinforce you so easily? Don't you understand? I provided you with so much support, yet you still handed Palpatine a disastrous defeat. Do you think our family hasn't been embarrassed enough?" "Sonia," Ta Gerard's voice rose with each word. "No, things shouldn't be like this. My abilities are not limited to this." Cassio Tag protested loudly. Since childhood, he had dreamed of being a soldier, of galloping among the stars and commanding armies to great victories. He worked harder than anyone else, graduating at the top of his class at the military academy, far ahead of the second place. He believed he could achieve greatness without relying on his family's influence. He was convinced he had the necessary skills. But all of that ended after the raid in the model sector. That raid was both his peak and his downfall. "This is absolutely impossible," Cassio Tag shouted, his voice filled with frustration and disbelief. Tang Xiao watched the heated exchange between mother and son with interest, his chin resting on his hand as he pondered. "This is non-negotiable. As long as you remain a prisoner, our family's shame continues. Sonia Gerard's face was flushed with anger. If the person in front of her wasn't her son, she would have abandoned him without a second thought. She turned abruptly to Tang Xiao and said, "I apologize for this display, Your Excellency. The ransom remains the same. 1 billion Imperial credits in cash, plus the right to use a secret channel leading to the inner ring star area. Your spacecraft can use this channel after we have inspected and confirmed that no people or materials for military purposes have entered. Regardless of his opinion, I brought a security robot to carry him back. Besides that, how do you plan to cooperate with me, Mrs. Tag? With your high position, you must know that another war between Palpatine and me is inevitable," Tang Xiao said with a sneer. "I hope for more cooperation opportunities with the Principality of Dawn. I believe that with the strength of Tag Company, we can easily achieve any cooperation you desire," Sonia Gerard replied. "Hedging your bets. Haha, that's interesting," Tang Xiao mused, touching his chin. "In that case, I have a suggestion." "Please tell me," Sonia Gerard urged. Tang Xiao crossed his hands to support his chin and said slowly, "Madam, you don't want to see your son sink to this level, do you?" End of chapter. Chapter 1794, The Tag Family, Part 2. Hearing Tang Xiao's words, Sonia Tag's expression turned cold. "If you think you can use my son to blackmail me, then you are mistaken. Cassio is my third son, and he holds no priority in the inheritance of the Tag family. While I am indeed willing to pay a heavy price for my son, it is not without limits." Tang Xiao smiled faintly. "All right then, let's not discuss the price for now. I can offer you a bargaining chip first. I can agree to let Cassio Tag join the Navy of the Principality of Dawn." "What did you say?" Sonia Tag's graceful and noble expression finally relaxed a little. "There is absolutely no way I will join your separatism." Cassio Tag gritted his teeth. "Separatism? Boy, you must be responsible for your words," Tang Xiao said with a cold smile. "I have reached an agreement with Emperor Palpatine that the current Principality of Dawn is a legitimate ally of the Galactic Empire. Separatism? That is a slander against an ally recognized by the Galactic Empire. Based on what you just said, no one would dare to say anything even if I cut your tongue out." "How dare you?" Sonia Tag raised her eyebrows. "If you dare to have any unfavorable thoughts against me, I will ensure that the price you pay is greater than you imagine, Mrs. Sonia, and this price even includes yourself." Tang Xiao's smile looked a little ferocious. "You." Sonia Tag almost lost her composure, but then realized she had nothing that could threaten the Duke of Dawn. "Think about it carefully, Cassio Tag," Tang Xiao said lightly. "The Galactic Empire Navy no longer has any opportunities for you. As your mother just said, you are not even an Imperial soldier now. When you were captured, you were serving as an admiral of the Galactic Republic Navy." Cassio Tag's face turned pale. Tang Xiao continued, "Similarly, you will not achieve anything after returning to your family. You have already made a big enough mistake, so big that even the Tag family will not give you another chance. If you go back, your only possibility is to spend your life in mediocrity under the protection of your family. Of course, as the second son of the Tag family, you can indeed guarantee a luxurious life, but is this the result you really want?" Cassio Tag lowered his head, but clenched his fists, obviously very unwilling to accept this fate. "But the Principality of Dawn is different. I know very well the potential in you, and we also have enough patience and opportunities for you to show it," Tang Xiao said slowly. "I will help you hide your identity and declare to the outside world that you have died. Then you will study with the governor of Volgograd Kanedi. He is just an arrogant, impulsive, and good-for-nothing kid." Volgograd Kanedi said coldly, "The more such mediocre people there are in the Galactic Empire, the better. But they have to come to us? Sorry, there is no place for him in the Navy of the Principality of Dawn." "What if I insist, Governor Kanedi?" Tang Xiao still kept smiling. "I order you to give this young man a last chance." Cassio Tag still said nothing, but judging from the way he stared at Kanedi, a fire was burning in his chest at this moment. Tang Xiao added at the right time, "Your mother also knows that we in the Galactic Empire will eventually have a battle. What could be better than proving those who reject and look down on you wrong? Show them on the battlefield that you are a well-deserved famous general. Let those mediocre people in the Galactic Empire feel how formidable you are. Tag suddenly raised his head and said loudly, I wish. Enough! Tag interrupted Cassio with a loud shout, but Tang Xiao smiled and waved his hands. Think about it carefully, both of you. Now, it is between me and Mrs. Sonia. After speaking, he raised his hand, and the invisible force immediately closed the communication. The holographic projection in front of him dissipated. Tag was furious. You dare to seduce my son in front of me, the matriarch of the Tag family, whether as a heir of the Tag family, an Empire citizen, or a mother, what you did is unforgivable. Tang Xiao smiled lightly. All right, Mrs. Sonia, there's no one else here. Let's be honest. To me, your body is more attractive than your son's. You scoundrel! Tag was livid at Tang Xiao's suggestive words. However, Tang Xiao's next statement extinguished all her anger. You're going to die, aren't you? Tag stopped in her tracks. She closed her eyes and seemed to relax. After taking a long breath, she slowly sat down on the sofa. Did you figure it out? Initially, I thought you came to me to hedge your bets, but that seemed unlikely. For the Galactic Empire, our Kingdom of Dawn holds no appeal, Tang Xiao said. Then I considered if it was for your own son, but you yourself said Tag is only the second son of the Tag family and not that important to your family. He continued, so I wondered if the person standing before me might be a clone or a bionic robot. I used the Force to check your body and discovered that you are indeed here. This is very interesting. What could make the matriarch of the Tag family, one of the oldest and most powerful families in the Galactic Empire, take such a huge risk to personally come to the head of an enemy country? He slowly approached Tag, his voice as low as a demon's whisper. Then I found out. You were about to die. Oh, Mrs. Sonia, you came to find me for help. You can see this, which means I didn't find the wrong person, Tag said. Yes, I am going to die. I have at most 3 months to live. It's a very rare disease, with no precedent in the databases of all medical institutions in the galaxy. So no matter what method is used, I will die. She paused and then continued. I learned some rumors about you, the Angel of Death, from certain channels in the military. They say you can control death and bring back the dead. You have resurrected many Jedi Knights for your use. So I thought, maybe you could help me. Why don't you go to your Emperor? With your status, Palpatine would never refuse you, Tang Xiao asked. End of chapter. Chapter 1795, The Tag Family, Part 2. What can I gain by going to Palpatine? He already possesses everything. To him, it doesn't matter whether I am the leader of the Taggy family. If I die, my eldest son Orman Tagge will succeed me, and the Taggy family will remain loyal to the Galactic Empire. Tag said, her expression tinged with sadness. But you are different. Because of the Principality of Dawn, only through me can you gain the goodwill of the Tagge family. Tang Xiao smiled and nodded in agreement. Moreover, I don't believe Palpatine has the ability to save me. Although I don't know the extent of his powers, I am certain they do not include bringing people back to life, Tagge continued, a hint of pride in her voice. Don't doubt it. The Tagge family has had spies within the Jedi Order. She stared at Tang Xiao intently. In contrast, the power of the dead angels and intelligence gives me more hope, the power to bring the dead back to life. Life and death are always interconnected. I believe you can find a way to extend my life. Tang Xiao chuckled softly. You can actually associate death with life? What are you thinking? This is my last hope after exhausting almost all other methods. You, who control death, are my final straw, Tag said. Standing up and making a surprising move, she removed her luxurious top. The sight that met Tang Xiao's eyes made him frown. Despite being around 50 years old, Tag looked like she was in her 30s, thanks to the best and most luxurious skincare products. She had a noble demeanor, beautiful features, a graceful figure, and the wavy red hair unique to the Tag family. She looked like a seductive flame. Even after having 5 children, her figure remained perfect, with no signs of aging. However, beneath her seemingly perfect appearance, a large patch of black flesh squirmed and spread from her left chest, where her heart should have been. It was as if her heart had exploded and black, minced flesh had spread out. Is this thing alive? A heart? Tang Xiao asked, immediately sensing something was wrong. Yes, this is my heart, Sonia Taga replied. 5 years ago, my heart began to grow abnormally, eventually breaking through my chest and growing like this. It causes me endless pain, and nothing can alleviate it. No medicine works. Back-to-fluid only encourages its growth, and any surgery to remove it would kill me, as it is my heart. Tang Xiao looked at the half-beautiful, half-terrifying sight before him and pondered. After Sonia Taga's candid revelation, she shared more of her true feelings. A few months ago, I was still able to give birth to my youngest daughter, Domina Taga, even under such circumstances. Domina is truly a miracle given to me by the Force. To remove this thing, you would have to die once, and after death, only I can bring you back to life. So, you believe I can cure this strange disease of yours? Tang Xiao asked. It seems consistent with my judgment. I can't remove this thing while alive. After all, it is my heart, Sonia Tag said with a bitter smile. I don't want to die like this. My youngest daughter was just born, and I want to see her grow. As for my sons, she shook her head. My eldest son, Ormond Tage, is ambitious. My second son, Cassio Tage, is now your prisoner. My third son, Silas Tag, my third son, is only interested in his peculiar scientific research. My fourth son, Uruk Tag, is still very young and quite mischievous. I can't entrust the Tag family to them just yet. From her tone, Tang Xiao sensed the same helplessness that Benjila Ulan, the patriarch of the Ulan family from Lundili Interstellar Power Company, had expressed. Judging by their characters, it wasn't a matter of clinging to power out of nostalgia. They had already enjoyed and gained much during their lifetimes. Their real fear was that everything they had built would crumble in the hands of their sons. Both Benjila Ulan and Sonia Tag shared the same frustration, disappointment in their successors. Tang Xiao was aware of some details. For instance, although the Tag family wasn't prominent in the original plot, Cassio Tag's military career was quite successful. Ormond Tag, who was in charge of the family, did have conflicts with Darth Vader, but he didn't lead the family to ruin. However, in this universe, the situation had changed significantly. The second son, Cassio Tag, who was highly valued by the family, suffered a humiliating defeat on Dawn Planet. This defeat was severe enough to completely sideline Cassio Tag, leaving him with no chance of redemption. This situation forced Sonia Tag, the family patriarch, to reassess her other children, especially Ormond Tag, who was poised to inherit the position. Additionally, the early establishment of the Galactic Empire left Sonia Tag, who had not experienced this history in the original plot, even less confident about the future of the galaxy. She had died about half a year before the Empire was established in the original timeline. Sonia believed that in these turbulent times, she needed to give her children more space to grow and more guidance so that she could eventually trust them with the family. But now, she couldn't afford to die just yet. In the original plot, Sonia Tag had died quietly after leaving her final words, urging her son to remain loyal to the Republic. To extend her life, she had paid a huge price and had come in person to meet the enemy. Tang Xiao was the leader she sought. Tang Xiao spoke in a deep voice. I do have a way to extend your life, but the question is, what price are you willing to pay? As the patriarch of the family and the top CEO of Tag Company, I cannot give you a firm promise. I can assure you that I will carefully consider all the conditions you propose and implement them as much as possible. Sonia Tag said solemnly. Her chin was raised slightly. Even though she had bared her most vulnerable and ugliest side to Tang Xiao, she never lost her pride and dignity. Thanks to His Highness Prince Noctis, an innovator, for the 100 starting coins. Chapter 1796, The Real Core Wealthy Family, Part 1. Tang Xiao looked at the proud matriarch in front of him, smiled lightly, and said, You know my conditions, Mrs. Sonia. You want the Tag family to betray the Galactic Empire. This is simply impossible. Compared with the Tag family, my life is nothing, Sonia Tag said sternly. Even if I were to die, handing the family over to my eldest son, Ormond Tag, the loss he might cause would be far less than the devastation that would come from betraying the Empire and supporting the Dawn Principality. That would mean complete destruction. You seem to have no confidence in yourself, your family, or me, Tang Xiao said calmly. Her rejection was normal and expected. After all, the Tag family was not like the Ulan family of Rendili Interstellar Power Company. The latter had already been cast aside by the Galactic Republic and was being squeezed out of the core of its power. The Tag family, however, was deeply rooted with a richer heritage and had long been loyal to both the Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire. They had no internal or external troubles, and with their strength, it was almost certain they would enter the core of the Galactic Empire's power and hold critical positions. How could such a family betray the Galactic Empire? Therefore, he had not truly expected betrayal from the Tag family. Sonia Tag's expression softened slightly, and she said, "Perhaps you think that because the Principality of Dawn had the upper hand many times in the war with the Galactic Republic, even repelling the huge fleet led by Cassio, that the Principality of Dawn would continue to have the same advantage over the Galactic Empire." "I'd like to hear your opinion, madam," Tang Xiao said. Sonia Tag elegantly put on her clothes, her movements revealing a mature charm. She slowly walked to the other side, poured herself a glass of wine, and returned to sit on the sofa. Taking a sip, she said, "In the previous war, the Galactic Republic only mobilized less than 1/10 of its strength." Tang Xiao's expression remained unchanged. He was familiar with the plot of Star Wars and knew this very well. "The Galactic Republic was dragged into the war in a hurry," Sonia Tag continued, taking another sip of wine. She seemed to be very interested in this dry red wine. "We almost got Count Dooku in the morning. After the secession agreement was signed on the planet Geonosis, the war started in the afternoon. Before that, even though Palpatine promulgated the Military Creation Act after the conflict on the planet Naboo 10 years ago, we didn't take it seriously at all." Tang Xiao nodded, understanding that Sonia was speaking from the perspective of those wealthy nobles. The Grand Army of the Republic was established, but considering the financial situation of the Galactic Republic, it was simply impossible to afford such a huge military expenditure. And Palpatine did not put pressure on us because we had already stated that we would support him. What he really pressured were those disobedient planets and parliamentarians. Sonia Tag continued, "So, is the Galactic Republic poor? It is indeed poor. They can't even purchase one more battleship without holding meetings to discuss it. But so what? You should know that the entire war, the expenses of our Tag family, were not even comparable to the birthday party I held last year." Tang Xiao frowned slightly. He knew that the Galactic Republic was corrupt, rigid, and lacked power, but he hadn't expected it to be in such a dire state. If we really want to support a war, after the Military Creation Act and 10 years of preparation for war, the Republic's warships of various types will exceed 1 million, Sonia Tag said in a deep voice. If that were the case, Count Dooku's so-called separatism would not last more than a month. She then smiled self-deprecatingly and added, "But that is impossible. Each of us has our own concerns and considerations. We cannot simply hand over our precious power to the Galactic Republic. The organization of the Galactic Republic fundamentally cuts off this possibility. Neither the Republic government nor the Parliament has any binding force on us. Moreover, the separatist commotion isn't entirely bad. It stimulates the market and consumption in this backwater of the galaxy. And war." The smile at the corner of Sonia Tag's mouth became enigmatic. "War gives us countless opportunities. As long as we hold high the banner of war, we can do whatever we want. During the 2.5 years of the war, Tag Company's output value increased by 1.2%. To give you an intuitive comparison, in 2.5 years, Tag Company earned the equivalent of a star sector." Tang Xiao looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. Standing there, she was so beautiful and seemingly fragile. He only needed to reach out and hold her gently to kill her. However, she was incredibly powerful. With just a word, thousands of planets would operate according to her will, and countless resources and materials would flow to realize her ideas. Like the Ulan family, this was the heritage and domineering power of the oldest wealthy aristocracy in the galaxy. However, although Tang Xiao didn't show it, his heart was filled with ridicule. The Galactic Empire would be the era when they reached their peak, but it would also mark the beginning of their fall into the abyss. They were powerful, but also corrupt. Beneath that extremely solid shell was a mass of decayed crumbs, vulnerable to a single blow. Sonia Tag took a deep breath and sipped her wine, a charming blush spreading across her face. We know all this, and Palpatine knows it too. And do you know why we support Palpatine? She leaned back on the sofa, looking a little lazy. Because we are all tired of playing democratic games with those impoverished outer ring stars. We are strong, rich, smart, and superior. What qualifications do those primitive planets in the outer ring have to talk to us on an equal footing? A member of the Environmentalist Party? Ha! Taking advantage of her slight drunkenness, Sonia Tag laughed. Before the speaker election, we just crossed our fingers lightly. At that time, the leader of the Ring faction members, Orn Freetag, immediately gave up the so-called beliefs he had always insisted on, because in front of us, he deeply understood how insignificant the planet Rhinos he represents truly is. Heh! Sonia Tag stood up again, went to the wine cabinet, and poured herself a full glass of red wine. The system of the Galactic Republic allows us to have such powerful power, but prevents us from using it. We are tired of it. End of chapter. Chapter 1797, The Real Core Wealthy Family, Part 2. Tang Xiao narrowed his eyes. Although he did not personally participate in the events during the speaker election following the siege of Naboo in 32 BBY, 13 years ago, Francis Underwood was one of the witnesses. The thrilling process of that election was no less intense than the war on Naboo itself. At that time, members of the Ring faction, who held a significant number of votes in the parliament and were overwhelmingly popular, supported the Granite member Anil Tim's bid for speaker under the leadership of party leader Aun Frida. According to previous surveys, Anil Tim's support rate was much higher than Palpatine's. In the movie, after being elected, Palpatine simply told Queen Padme Amidala, "I was elected because I got a lot of sympathy points as a senator from Naboo." But in reality, it was far more complex than that. Palpatine started the election at an absolute disadvantage, with almost no one optimistic about his chances. However, once the election began, Ring Party leader Orn Freetower defected on the spot and publicly announced his support for Palpatine. This dealt a significant blow to the environmentalists. In the subsequent election, the chaotic Ring faction was unable to stop Palpatine, who was gaining more and more votes. In the end, Palpatine was elected Speaker of the Galactic Republic by a narrow margin. The overt and covert battles behind this election were extremely brutal. It would have taken an unimaginable amount of power to make the leader of the largest faction in the parliament switch sides on the spot. However, at this moment, in Sonia Tag's mouth, it was just as simple as hooking their fingers. The heritage of those ancient wealthy families since the founding of the Galactic Republic 25,000 years ago is truly terrifying. Yeah, tired of it, Sonia Tag said. So Palpatine and I have a consensus. Power. Only power can integrate the truly powerful forces of the galaxy's core circle. Only power can allow us to truly display our strength without restraint. Only power can enable us to expand and plunder without scruples, and then become stronger. Sonia Tag drank the red wine in her hand in one gulp. The bright red wine spilled from the corner of her mouth, flowed down her delicate neck, and wetted her clothes. The soft dress clung to her body, outlining her exquisite and graceful figure completely. Palpatine is doing something like this now, to fully unleash our power. By that time, the Dawn Principality will never be able to withstand the crushing power that the inner circle truly bursts out. Sonia Tag, bathed in wine and feeling quite drunk, had a rosy face and slightly open lips. Riding on her drunkenness, she twirled and danced towards Tang Xiao, falling into his arms. She exhaled softly, her face filled with allure. "Save my life. I can save the Principality of Dawn, and you can have me too. Your family will become part of the glory of the Empire, enjoying supreme authority and status, and then, together, we will expand our business to the entire galaxy." Tang Xiao looked down at the beautiful woman in his arms. He had to admit that although she was nearly 50 years old, her age was just a meaningless number for someone of her status. Many of the dignitaries in the inner circle were over 100 years old. As for Sonia Tag, she still looked like she was about 30 years old, both in appearance and body, thanks to the countless luxuries that extended her youth. She had the grace and beauty of a 30-year-old woman, full of mature charm. At the same time, she possessed the elegance, grace, and luxurious temperament of someone who had been in a position of power for a long time. Such a beautiful woman was truly fascinating. However, Tang Xiao felt calm in his heart, despite the warm and fragrant soft jade in his arms. Hormones had long ceased to affect his thinking. His first thought was whether her husband would object to her throwing herself into his arms like this. Then he realized that for Sumo, Ni of Sonia Tag's status, traditional marriage values and ethics no longer held sway. Tang Xiao chuckled. This is truly wonderful, to have a beautiful woman like you and the favor of the Tag family. With their protection, the Principality of Dawn can avoid war and become one of the core wealthy families of the Galactic Empire. It's really so beautiful. He was speaking of both the promising future and the beautiful young woman in his arms. Without hesitation, Tang Xiao kissed her. He pressed his lips against her cherry-red ones, gently holding the tip of Sonia's tongue as she eagerly responded, savoring the fragrance in her mouth. His hands moved deftly, removing the simple dress she wore. Sonia Tag closed her eyes in intoxication, feeling Tang Xiao's broad chest and masculine aura. She couldn't resist such a majestic hero. Only Tang Xiao, an overlord who dared to confront the Galactic Republic head-on, could be worthy of a rich and beautiful woman like her. However, she failed to notice the vicious look in Tang Xiao's eyes at that moment. In the next second, a literally heart-wrenching sensation overwhelmed her senses. Tang Xiao grabbed her mutated heart and tore it out violently. Black blood spurted out, and her tender skin was ripped apart. Muscles and internal organs adhered to the mutated substance were torn out and shattered. Sonia Tag's beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief, and the excruciating pain made her scream loudly. Her voice was hysterical, and her vocal cords, once capable of producing beautiful sounds, became hoarse almost immediately. Blood gushed from her throat, bringing the agony of suffocation. The blood pouring down abruptly ended her screams. Sonia Tag opened her mouth in despair as blood continued to flow from her mouth and her torn body. The entire room was suddenly filled with the strong smell of blood. But she wasn't dead. Sonia Tag was horrified to find that despite such grievous injuries, she remained alive. Her consciousness was painfully clear, so clear that she could hear the sounds of her own skin and flesh tearing, muscles breaking, and bones snapping. Ha! Tang Xiao laughed maniacally while tearing Sonia's body apart. You gave me the perfect reason to save you. The beautiful matriarch of the Tag family. Ha! If I merely controlled and enslaved you, it would be so boring, so boring. My power would be discovered by Palpatine immediately, and then you would be killed. But, His laughter was filled with morbid madness. But I want to save you. I want to save you. I want you to witness the day when my iron hoofs flatten the center of the Empire. Then, I will make you kneel willingly, fall at my feet, become the lowest slave in my hands. Chapter 1798, Humiliating Treatment, Part 1. Sonia Tag suffered unimaginable pain. She watched her body being torn apart, her internal organs exposed one by one. Blood blocked her throat, preventing her from screaming, and it flowed into her lungs, violently choking her trachea. Despite the agony that could kill someone several times over, Sonia Tag remained conscious, enduring the endless torment without the relief of unconsciousness. Tang Xiao had no intention of letting her go. He immediately began the next step in the most violent and brutal manner. Amid the heart-wrenching pain of her lungs, bones, and flesh being broken, there was a trace of joy. This became Sonia Tag's only lifeline in the endless torture. She desperately searched for and clung to the only sensation that wasn't painful, but the excruciating pain kept her teetering on the edge of life and death. Sonia Tag had completely lost the power and pride of the ancient wealthy patriarch she once was. Tang Xiao had shattered her dignity. On one side was the pain of death, and on the other, the humiliating pleasure. Driven by her survival instinct, she begged, searched, and longed like an animal. Her mind was otherwise blank. Under Tang Xiao's terrifying actions, the entire office was almost covered in Sonia Tag's blood. It was unclear how much time had passed, but when her consciousness returned, she found herself lying on the office sofa. Her graceful body was now clad in a semi-sheer gauze. The slim fabric half covered her body, bathing in the sunlight streaming through the window. Her skin, as white and tender as a girl's, exuded an alluring luster in the sunlight. Looking around blankly, she saw that the office was bright and spacious, with a hint of intoxicating incense. The blood that had filled the room before was gone, as if it had never happened. Could it have been a dream? Blood. The hellish scene flashed in Sonia Tag's mind again. Then she saw the perpetrator of it all, Tang Xiao. He was sitting at his desk, concentrating on some documents. "You." Sonia Tag tried to speak, but the sharp pain in her throat interrupted her. The word she managed to utter was hoarse, as if her throat was filled with iron sand. The pain from her lower body also reminded her that this was not a dream. "You'd better not say anything," Tang Xiao said, raising his eyes to glance at her. "After I cleaned up the blood, you screamed at the top of your lungs for 3 hours. He looked at the seductive scene before him, a terrifying smile curling his lips. "If you want to ask why I cleaned up the blood, it's because your screams are particularly pleasant." Sonia Tag tried desperately to stand up, but she had lost all her strength and fell from the sofa to the ground with a thud. Despite the pain in her lower body, she struggled to move away from Tang Xiao. At that moment, she wanted to be as far away from him as possible, even if it was just 1 meter further. Just then, the door opened, and a beautiful young girl walked in carrying a plate. Sonia Tag raised her eyes and recognized the girl. She had seen this timid girl following Bangila Ulan at a banquet of the top wealthy families in the inner circle. It was the youngest daughter of the Ulan family, Adele Ulan. Unexpectedly, their previous meeting had been at a banquet representing the top upper class in the galaxy. Now, they were meeting again in this hellish place. Adele Ulan was also wearing a gauze, looking so beautiful and youthful, exuding the unique sunny charm of a girl. Seeing Adele, Sonia Tag tried to smooth her hair, attempting to tidy up her messy appearance. Sonia Tag tried to stand up, but the pain coursing through her body made her groan and abandon the attempt. Adele Ulan squatted down, placing a bowl of thick soup filled with vitamins, medicines, and nutrients on a tray on the ground. She then straightened up, leaving the soup on the floor as if feeding a dog. Taking 2 steps back, Adele looked at the half-naked Sonia Tag and said lightly, "Drink something, Aunt Sonia. This will make you feel better." The word aunt made Sonia Tag tremble slightly, understanding that this was Adele Ulan's way of asserting dominance. Despite the physical pain, Sonia had no choice. She picked up the bowl with trembling hands and took a big sip. The refreshing sensation spread from her taste buds to her injured throat and then to her empty stomach. The thick soup, made with advanced technology and top-quality ingredients, took effect almost immediately. However, Sonia was too weak. Her hand trembled, and the bowl of soup slipped, spilling its warm contents onto her body. She quickly lowered her head to clean it up, but at that moment, she noticed her heart. It was so white and flawless, soft and moving, intact without a trace of a scar. "I'm okay?" Sonia Tag trembled, not from fear or pain, but from excitement. For the first time in 5 years, she saw her intact body and felt the healthy beating of her heart. Actually, not completely. A slightly low, yet childish female voice suddenly came from behind. This was not Adele Ulan's silver bell-like voice. It was someone else. Sonia turned her head and saw a girl in a purple dress with bright, smooth golden hair and a doll-like, delicate appearance. She looked no older than 15 or 16, but her expression was extremely cold, with a hint of dominance. "Check it out, Alexia," Tang Xiao said calmly, still seated at the desk. The girl named Alexia approached, squatting in front of Sonia Tag and examining her heart without any scruples. For some reason, Sonia was unable to resist. She could only remain still, watching as the 3 people inspected her body as if she were merchandise. In her frightened eyes, Alexia raised her left hand, and the nail of her index finger suddenly extended, transforming into a spike more than 10 centimeters long. Without hesitation, she pierced Sonia's heart directly. "Well," Sonia groaned, enduring the unbearable humiliation and pain. She felt as if she were teetering on the edge of danger, her body and mind pushed to their limits. Chapter 1799, Humiliating Treatment, Part 2. Alexia Ashford withdrew her fingers and then licked the blood from Sonia Tag's heart off her fingertips. After a moment of contemplation, she said lightly, "Her body is continuously secreting toxins. At the current rate, her heart will collapse again in 97 standard days, requiring prompt treatment." Without further ado, she stood up, glanced at Tang Xiao, and then turned to leave. From Sonia Tag's perspective, she could clearly see that at that moment, Alexia was as indifferent as a robot, with the corners of her mouth slightly raised, hinting at a different emotion. What do you mean?" Sonia Tag asked hoarsely after drinking some thick soup to soothe her throat. She stared at Tang Xiao, seeking answers. As Alexia said, "This is not a disease. You are poisoned. As for why you were poisoned, I think you should know better than I do," Tang Xiao replied coldly. "Poisoned? No. Why? But why? After 97 days, will I still die?" Sonia Tag asked, trembling. "You will not die after 97 days. You will just return to the same state as before. Therefore, I suggest you come to me before that time, and I will perform this operation again to extend your life," Tang Xiao explained. "You don't have to worry, because with each surgical treatment, the time interval between treatments will gradually become longer. It won't take too long until you are completely cured." Sonia Tag gritted her teeth. "Don't think you can control me with this method. Even if I die here, I will never do anything detrimental to my family. Betraying the Galaxy Empire will lead to our complete destruction. This is absolutely impossible." Tang Xiao's smile turned ferocious. He stood up and walked over to Sonia. He held her pointed chin and forced her to stand up with an unstoppable force. The process was painful for Sonia Tag, but she gritted her teeth and endured it. "I said, I will keep you. I will let you witness the complete collapse of everything you believe in." Tang Xiao leaned close to Sonia's ear, his words terrifying despite the woman's fragrance that filled the air. "I will wait here, waiting for you to crawl over and beg me." "You will never see that day," Sonia Tag said viciously. "Tell me, how much is the cost of this treatment?" Tang Xiao smiled slightly and suddenly put his arms around Sonia's slender waist. "I have already received the price. That is, your body." As he spoke, he kissed Sonia Tag's slightly pale and cold lips. For Sonia, who still hadn't fully recovered, what happened next was another trauma. But Adele Ulan did not leave. She walked over calmly, bent down, and held Sonia Tag's face twisted in pain. She stuck out her tongue and licked it gently. "You don't know it all. Our power. Aunt Sonia, you know nothing about us, but we know everything about you. The day we see you collapse will not be long. Before that, don't die, okay?" At this moment, Sonia Tag had no strength to answer and couldn't help herself at all. Ever since she decided to meet Tang Xiao, the Sith Lord, everything had spiraled out of control. When it was all over, Adele Ulan had also left, and Sonia Tag fell to the ground, her eyes dull, staring at the ceiling motionlessly. Tang Xiao stood next to her, looking down at her condescendingly, and then explained the treatment process. "I originally thought it was, as you said, a disease, possibly involving genetic mutations. So I believed that clearing out the mutated material and transplanting a healthy heart would solve the problem," he said. He looked at Sonia, who was unresponsive, and continued, "It is impossible to separate those mutated substances without killing you. Those mutated tissues have penetrated deep into your other organs, making normal treatment ineffective. Surgery was completely impossible, so I used my unique force to save your life while separating the mutated tissue. But soon I realized something was wrong," Tang Xiao explained. "Even after removing the mutated tissue, your body showed no signs of improvement. I even changed all the blood in your body, but it didn't stop the transformation. The healthy blood I injected almost immediately became toxic. I realized it wasn't that simple, so I called Alexia Ashford. Only she could handle this. Shirley Birkin couldn't because she hadn't fully awakened her abilities," Tang Xiao continued. "After Alexia's thorough examination, she told me that your entire body had become a factory producing toxins. These toxins would concentrate in your heart, causing a mutation. It's a very slow process, but with current technology, it's almost impossible to cure." He looked at Sanja with pity and continued, "And she also told me that this isn't a pathological mutation, but a toxic one. In other words, the source is something ingested from outside your body. Do you understand? If you didn't consume something strange to kill yourself, then someone poisoned you. Hearing this, Sonia Tag, who was still lying on the ground, trembled slightly, and a sparkle appeared in her eyes. Tang Xiao stretched out 3 fingers and said, "So, there are 3 solutions. First, I could use Sith alchemy to completely turn you into my slave. This way, I could continuously supply you with the force of death, preventing the poison from spreading. Second, I could kill you and resurrect you as an undead creature. You would be dead, and the poison would naturally stop spreading. But I won't choose this method. There's no point in enslaving you, and with your status, you will definitely have many opportunities to meet Palpatine. He would easily discover your changes and then kill you." Sonia still didn't move, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "So there is only the third option left," Tang Xiao said, putting away the other 2 fingers and raising his index finger. "Together, Alexia and I replaced the blood in your body and rebuilt your damaged internal organs. We also replaced your heart with a healthy one. 2 poor maids died as a result, but this method cannot eradicate the problem all at once. You must continue to treat it. Thanks for the 20,000 starting coins for the Sword of Filio, and thanks to Bookfriend 22307095419690 for the reward of 300 starting coins." Chapter 1800, Queen Sonia Tag lay on the ground for a full hour before slowly sitting up. During that time, Adele Ulan came again and fed her some thick soup, which helped her recover significantly. Sonia picked up the gauze that had been soaked with various unknown liquids from the ground and put it on her body, regardless of the dirt, as if it was her last shred of pride. Then she raised her cold eyes and said to Tang Xiao calmly, "Can I go?" "Of course, you're welcome, Mrs. Sonia," Tang Xiao replied, making a gesture of invitation, but it was not towards the door. It was in the direction of the bathroom. "A change of clothes has been prepared. In addition, your son, Cassio Tagana Bion, has also made a choice. He will stay in the Principality of Dawn and study with the governor of Volgograd Kennedy. As I promised, I will give him the opportunity to command the fleet in frontal combat without any grudges." Sonia Tag seemed not to have heard him. She walked past Tang Xiao with a piece of wet gauze hanging on her body and headed towards the bathroom. At that moment, someone flew in from the window. It was Alexia Ashford. 2 pairs of insect-like cicada wings sprouted from her back, vibrating in the air at high speed, allowing her to fly into the window nimbly and hover behind Tang Xiao. Alexia didn't speak. She just hung there and looked at Sonia indifferently. Seeing her appearance, Sonia Tag's numb, beautiful eyes finally showed a look of disbelief and horror. She quickened her pace and walked into the bathroom, seemingly not daring to stay there for too long. It took Sonia Tag less than 10 minutes to clean up briefly before putting on the clothes Tang Xiao had prepared for her and walking out. After coming out, the numbness on her face had dissipated, but she still didn't dare to look at Tang Xiao, let alone Alexia, who had insect wings growing from her body. She just lowered her head and said coldly, "What should be done? I've done it too. Tell me, what do you want?" "I have said that the treatment I am giving you is purely for my personal interest and is free of charge. As for your son, as I said before, I let him go and gave him more opportunities to grow. So, the conditions we agreed upon are absolutely essential. But, do you still want to go to the Model Star District to persuade him face to face?" The smile on Tang Xiao's face became harmless again. This kind of smile made it impossible for people to connect it with the terrible violence and heinous atrocities he had committed before. Sonia Tag said coldly, "No need. He is an adult and has his own choices. I will arrange to announce the news of Cassio's death after I go back." She paused, took a deep breath, and the towering peaks of her chest became even taller. She seemed to muster up the greatest courage, raised her head, and looked directly at Tang Xiao, gritting her teeth as she said, "Besides, don't think about having any influence on the Tag family. Any unreasonable thoughts. Even if you trample me countless times, I will never give up my bottom line." Saying that, Sonia finally couldn't bear to look at him any longer. She turned to look away, her body starting to tremble, and she said slowly, 1 billion Empire credits, and the secret hyperspace channel data will be received tomorrow. In addition, within 97 standard days, I will come again. As she said this, the terrible pain and horrific torture she had experienced before, as well as the endless humiliation, came to her heart one after another. The corners of her eyes became a little moist, but she still gritted her teeth to prevent herself from crying, and quickly turned around to leave. After watching Sonia Tag leave, Alexia, who had been hovering behind Tang Xiao, said, "Didn't you tell her? This kind of poison needs to be administered continuously for a long time." Tang Xiao retracted his gaze and said, "It's not necessary. She will know what she should know. Since she already knows that it is poisoned, she will definitely check it out. With free things, our services naturally do need to be explained in detail." "Isn't it better this way?" Alexia asked. "Actually, you should have a better way to control her and make the Tag family serve you. Why don't you do that? The Tag family is not as influential as the Ulan family or the Rendili Interstellar Power Company. Their power cannot be utilized by the current Dawn Principality. Moreover, Sonia alone cannot sway the entire Tag family and might even backfire, making Palpatine suspicious. Given his nature, once exposed, it would be impossible to keep Sonia Tag alive. That would mean truly losing the Tag family," Tang Xiao explained, leaning back in his chair. "Why not take a longer view? What's the long-term solution?" Alexia, despite her high IQ, was still immature in understanding human nature and politics, and couldn't grasp Tang Xiao's approach. "The internal dynamics of the Tag family are much more interesting than I expected," that Tang Xiao said with a cold smile. "Starting with Sonia Tag, I don't need to control her mind, just her body. Then, we can intervene in the internal affairs of the Tag family and slowly expand our influence. This way, we have the opportunity to truly influence one of the oldest wealthy families in the Galactic Empire. This is far more stable than the risky move of enslaving Sonia. It's a good plan. I like you more and more," Alexia said, fluttering her delicate, cicada-like wings as she flew in front of Tang Xiao. She gently lifted his chin with her jade-like fingers, her eyes filled with pride. "Why don't you consider my proposal? Combine with me. Use our best genes to produce better and more powerful offspring." The wings on her back retracted, and her skin returned to its original flawless state. She sat on Tang Xiao's lap and continued, "We can spread our descendants across the entire galaxy. By then, we will be the only masters and the only wisdom of the galaxy. This is true unity." Tang Xiao raised his hand and pushed Alexia away forcefully, saying calmly, "Sorry, I have no interest in children." He knew that the offspring Alexia mentioned were actually related to the T. Veronica virus. "My 15-year-old body can already meet the conditions for childbirth. However, if you want to wait for my body to develop more maturely, it won't take long," Alexia said, unaffected by his rejection. "Let's talk about it later." Tang Xiao's tone grew colder. "At least for now, you know nothing about the Force. Your so-called outstanding descendants may not be worth mentioning in front of the Force." "Have you ever thought that this is the main reason why I want to marry you?" Alexia smiled strangely. Chapter 801. Heirs. "You should understand that I am not interested in your so-called plan," Tang Xiao said, glancing at Alexia with a hint of indifference. "However, if you make a significant enough contribution, I will consider giving you a planet, and you will become the queen of that planet." Alexia did not comment on Tang Xiao's proposal. She simply smiled indifferently and replied, "My proposal is valid at any time, Mr. Grand Duke Li Ming." With that, cicada-like wings sprouted from her back, and she flew out of the window, her wings vibrating softly. Tang Xiao didn't bother to pay her any more attention. Instead, he connected to Volgograd Kanidi's communication and said, "Sonia Tag and I have reached an agreement. Next, Cassio Tag will join the Navy. As I mentioned before, let him follow you. I've noticed an increase in interstellar pirates in the model sector recently, so let him practice his skills." Interstellar pirates are a significant problem throughout the galaxy, including in the newly established Principality of Dawn. This is why the Principality maintains a large escort fleet at all times. Some of these pirates come from other regions, while others are criminals and thugs born on local planets. Once these individuals obtain spacecraft and make some simple modifications, they can immediately become threatening interstellar pirates. Due to the maturity and popularization of interstellar navigation technology, these pirates are nearly impossible to guard against, and a radical cure is unattainable. The only solution is to maintain escorts so that these pirates are deterred from taking action or can be repelled when they do. Taking the model star sector as an example, the commonly mentioned planets are fewer than 10, such as Anagi, Varzian, and Sonar. However, in the entire model sector, if you include sporadic colonies or planets with inhabited activities, the number ranges from 190 to 450. In reality, almost no one pays attention to those scattered planets. If we change the statistical method and compare the developed and undeveloped areas of all planets, we find that at least 83% of the areas are undeveloped. Even the most developed planet, Anagi, in the model sector, has only about 70% of its areas developed. The remaining 30% of areas with complex terrain may also harbor dirt and evil. Therefore, the belief that an interstellar regime has complete control over its jurisdiction is false. Even the Galactic Empire controls the planets under its jurisdiction by managing the administrative centers of these planets, not every area of a planet. The model sector recently experienced a large-scale invasion by the Galactic Republic. To defend Dawn Planet, all surrounding escort fleets were mobilized to fight. Although they successfully repelled the Galactic Republic fleet, the hidden danger remains. With the mobilization and loss of the escort fleet, interstellar pirates in the model sector began to appear on a large scale and became rampant. This was part of Tang Xiao's arrangement. He sent Cassio Tag to fight against pirates and study under Volgograd Kennedy, allowing this talented but inexperienced man to grow. Tang Xiao didn't expect Cassio Tag to reach a high level, but hoped to keep in touch with Sonia Tag through him, creating a bridge to intervene in the Tag family's internal affairs in the future. Moreover, Cassio Tag's future growth showed that he had many advantages, which would be beneficial for the Kingdom of Dawn, undergoing rapid expansion. However, Volgograd Kennedy's political thinking did not reach this level. He looked a little unhappy and frowned, saying, "With all due respect, Your Excellency, Cassio Tag does have merit in theoretical knowledge, but this person is too ambitious and impulsive." Tang Xiao smiled faintly and asked, "Are you serious? Doesn't he have any redeeming qualities at all?" In the original plot, Cassio Tag rose to a rare high-level position in the Galactic Empire's military. He was the commander-in-chief of all the army troops stationed on the Death Star Abba and the anti-ship defense array. Even though he has a strong background in the Tag family, who can reach that level without some merit? Being able to stand out is his greatest ability. And in the original plot, Cassio Tag is known for his caution and rigor, which is completely opposite to Volgograd Kennedy's evaluation. It shows that as he grew up, he also got rid of the irritable shortcomings of his youth. Therefore, Cassio Tag is indeed a person with great potential. Although he may not be as good as those monster-like characters from major games and movies in the hibernation cabin of the Mothership, he is still a very practical talent. You can't rely on the talents in the hibernation cabin everywhere, right? Sometimes there will be a lot of conflicts between those geniuses who are amazingly talented but have outstanding personalities, just like the previous conflict between Ling Liang and Severance Tan. In my opinion, I would rather teach the graduates who graduated from the Dawn Planet Naval Academy than be with this outsider, Kennedy said honestly. Then give it a try. Maybe he will surprise you. This matter has been decided. Don't make me push this matter in the form of orders, Tang Xiao said lightly. Kennedy took a deep breath, stopped talking, nodded, and closed the communication. However, Tang Xiao's affairs were not over yet. Soon, Helmut Zemo knocked on the door and walked in. He said respectfully, "Your Majesty, if you want to catch up with the maiden voyage ceremony of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier, I think you must leave within today." In addition, from the Secret Intelligence Department, Solomon Lane's first report on the model sector has also been submitted. You said before that you wanted to see it in person. Tang Xiao exclaimed, "Is time so tight?" Zemo smiled slightly and said, "I think this is because you spent a lot of time on Sonia Tag for 4 whole days. Of course, I believe you should also be very concerned about what happened in these 4 days. Just be happy. That woman seems to like you very much." A hint of cruelty appeared on the corner of Tang Xiao's mouth. "What I like is not her body itself, but the aura she exudes. What else can be better than holding the leader of the most powerful, wealthy family in the galaxy in the palm of my hand and torturing her at will? Does it make people happy? Moreover, her spirit is very tenacious. She can still maintain consciousness after experiencing such torture, which makes me look forward to the day when I destroy her. We are all eagerly looking forward to the arrival of this day, and we will do our best to achieve this goal, Your Excellency. Zemo saluted respectfully again and said, "Furthermore, what you did to Sonia Tag made me even more excited." "Excited? Where is the excitement?" Tang Xiao asked. "This shows me that you still maintain your interest in women despite your busy schedule," Zemo said with a smile. "In fact, everyone in the Principality is also looking forward to the birth of your heir." Tang Xiao's expression changed instantly, and the extremely terrifying force of the dark side suddenly pressed forward. This terrifying power made Zemo back away, and finally, he knelt down on one knee with a pop. His voice also became eerie and terrifying. "You want to say that I should give birth to an heir? Inherit what? Inherit after my death? Then should you tell me when I will die?" Helmut Zemo was extremely horrified, and sweat dripped continuously. At this moment, he understood more deeply the violence hidden in Tang Xiao's heart. Even though he has become much better at controlling his emotions after he has mastered the death force, this does not mean that Tang Xiao is an easy monarch to get along with now. "No, I dare not. I dare not. My lord, there is only you, the Grand Duke. Your eternal life is my greatest and most ardent hope. I dare not have any second thoughts." Zemo remained kneeling on the ground, his head lowered as he quickly explained. "I mean, if you, the Grand Duke, can have an heir born, after raising it, he will become a great help to our fourth civilization." Tang Xiao walked over with a serious smile and gently helped Zemo up. However, the pressure of the dark side did not dissipate at all. Zemo was dripping with cold sweat and still did not dare to show any sign of relief. "When did you become so speechless, Zemo?" Tang Xiao sneered, his cold hand gently sweeping across Zemo's throat. "For me, the meaning of an heir is completely different. Even, it is not a necessary thing. Do you understand? If I truly face death, I will bring the entire civilization with me to be buried together. I don't need an heir. At the same time, I hope you can understand this point. Yes, everything about us was created by you, sir. It is our honor to die for you," Zemo said quickly. Tang Xiao's expression instantly brightened. The terrifying pressure was swept away, and the cold and stagnant air in the room seemed to immediately become comfortable. He patted Zemo on the shoulder and said, "Of course, I also understand your concerns. I had never paid attention to my personal marriage problems before. It was not until more than 10 years after the establishment of the fourth civilization that I finally married Adele Ulan. But after the marriage, I ignored her for a long time without touching her at all. Since then, I have had relations with Adele many times, but there is no sign of pregnancy. It is natural for you to be anxious." Yes, although the pressure was gone, Zemo was still covered in cold sweat. He was also reflecting on himself. Maybe it was because Tang Xiao was in a good mood and his temper was much better recently, which made him slack off a little. But the issue of an heir is indeed the problem of every king. In addition, Tang Xiao has been exploring the way to eternal life, which makes him even more sensitive to this matter. To suddenly mention this matter at this time was indeed because he was too carried away. Zemo just wanted to slap himself twice right away. Tang Xiao stood there thinking for a while, his smile fading, and he said slowly, "However, in order to consolidate the relationship between me and the Ulan family, I really need to have a child with Adele Ulan. Now, please make arrangements for her to go to the planet Semmels with me to participate in the maiden voyage ceremony of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier." "As you command," Zemo responded with his head lowered. The eastern border of the Milky Way, the planet Semmels. This is a planet located at the core of the area controlled by the Federation of Independent Systems. Together with planets including Felucia, Dark, Ossus, Laxus, Molcana, and others, it has become the main strength of the Federation of Independent Systems. The Confederacy of Independent Systems was already in dire straits at the end of the Galactic Republic. Specifically, it started after Palpatine, who was still the Speaker of the Republic at the time, issued an order to recover the local defense fleets of all planets. The Galactic Republic used tens of thousands of salvaged warships to launch a fierce attack on the Confederation of Independent Systems. These warships were generally old warships from the local defense fleet and were mainly small and medium-sized warships. However, there were too many, and the Confederacy of Independent Systems found it difficult to resist. At that time, the Galactic Republic gathered various armies and launched a six-pronged attack on the Confederation of Independent Systems and the Principality of Dawn. In this series of attacks, the Confederacy of Independent Systems essentially lost control of parts of the central sector that had been occupied by General Grievous's Festival Offensive during the first year of the Clone War. They also lost territories gained during the central attack launched at the beginning of the second year of the war, including the Middle Ring and even a small part of the Inner Ring star area. Simultaneously, in the northeast, the Confederacy lacked a planet strong enough to support its efforts. Consequently, they were overwhelmingly defeated by the Republic's 9th and 10th armies, leading to a complete rout. These victories allowed Dun Wessex, the governor of the Republic's 9th Army, to emerge as the King of the North, laying a solid foundation for his rapid rise to prominence. In the southeast, Wilhuff Tarkin's 4th Army, along with the 15th, 16th, and 17th Armies, launched a relentless offensive. They successfully reclaimed the planet Rylos and rebuilt the 14th Army. During this process, the only area effectively controlled by the Confederacy of Independent Systems was the eastern region of the Milky Way. If Severance Tan had not launched a battle in the outer star areas of the planet Mandalore, destroying the main fleet of the Republic's 2nd Army, led by Mace Windu, the Confederacy's situation would have been even more dire. Strictly speaking, even though the southwest of the galaxy, where the Principality of Dawn is located, has made peace with the Galactic Empire, and the northwest, controlled by the Interstellar Banking Association, the Fourth Group, and the Geth, remains independent in a sense, Count Dooku's real control is limited to the eastern region. This star area is naturally the most powerful region of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The planet Semmels, in particular, has become one of the most important industrial worlds within the Confederacy. End of chapter. Chapter Weight 802, Endless Class Super Aircraft Carrier, Part 1. The planet Semmels was originally one of the largest forge worlds in the outer ring of the galaxy. Known as a foundry world, Semmels' primary industrial output came from OEM production or the manufacturing of relatively simple parts, albeit in massive quantities. Over 10 years ago, the population of this planet reached 10 billion. As a gastropod race, the Semi-Res are incredibly powerful and stable, capable of performing tasks that humans would require machinery to accomplish. They excel in heavy-duty machining work, making them natural-born workers and engineers. When compared to the Vathian Zerg, a subordinate of the Fourth Civilization known for its strong industrial engineering capabilities, the Semi-Res engineering skills are somewhat inferior. However, their creative abilities are even more outstanding. To draw a metaphor, the Vathians are excellent workers, the Semi-Res are excellent foremen, and the Givens and Solarians are excellent engineers. The Semi-Res were among the first races to cooperate with the Fourth Civilization. Initially, it was Hago Damask II who facilitated this partnership, altering their destiny. With technological input from the Fourth Civilization, the Semi-Res reached an agreement with Tang Xiao to collaborate on the research and development of the Homeland series of technologies. This led to the establishment of the Hiigara Aerospace Group, the first subsidiary of the Fourth Group, through cooperation with the Semi-Res. This group became the first company in the galaxy to produce kilometer-class battlecruisers that exceeded the limits set by the Rusen Reform Treaty. Today, it stands as the largest industrial company on the planet Semmels. Hiigara Aerospace Group primarily produces Higaran-class battlecruisers, Apocalypse-class light cruisers, Revenge-class destroyers, and other Homeworld series battleships. However, many of the initial battleship designs handed over by Tang Xiao were outdated. For instance, the Higaran-class battlecruiser has been discontinued. Currently, the group mainly produces second-line warships such as stealth fighters, Puppet Man-class drone carriers, and Pulse Star frigates for escort fleets. Due to overcapacity, Hiagara Aerospace Group also undertakes contract construction of Behemoth-class battlecruisers from Tyron Heavy Industries. In the Navy of the Principality of Dawn, the 1,350-meter-long Behemoth-class battlecruiser is the battleship that takes the longest time to build. Hiagara Aerospace Group is now preparing to upgrade and modernize existing warships. The completion time of this upgrade plan mainly depends on the release of Homeworld 3. As a result, the planet Semmels has completely shed its previous status as a parts processing factory. It now boasts a complete industrial system capable of independently building various large warships. Hundreds of capital ship docks and more than 1,000 small and medium-sized warship docks have been constructed around the planet. The industrial production capacity of the entire Federation of Independent Systems has surpassed that of planet Cora 4, making Semmels the third-largest industrial center of the Confederacy, second only to Port Parment and Dak, formerly the planet Mon Calamari. In the naval reform of the Confederacy of Independent Systems being implemented by Count Dooku and General Grievous, the planet Semmels plays a crucial role. In Count Dooku's long-term plan, he places great value on the Behemoth-class battlecruiser. Unlike the diverse composite fleet of the Principality of Dawn, Count Dooku aims to build a powerful fleet centered around the Behemoth-class battlecruiser. Tang Xiao was quite pleased with the current situation. As a member of the Masonic Alliance, a secretive organization he had established, he knew that the higher the status of planet Simurth within the Confederation of Independent Systems, the deeper the Masonic Alliance could infiltrate. To elevate planet Samurth's standing, Tang Xiao handed over the blueprint for the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier to Newt Gunray, which was subsequently selected for development and construction on planet Samurth. To facilitate this, planet Samurth constructed 3 new 8,000-meter interstellar shipyards, making the construction of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier possible. This massive project was a joint effort between the Trade Federation and the Halo Weapon System Group of the Principality of Dawn. The Trade Federation provided the funding, Planet Samurth supplied the personnel, and the Halo Weapon System Group contributed engineers, scientists, and technicians. The design and construction of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier faced numerous challenges. There were 2 significant leaks, turning the project into an open secret. An unknown amount of data was compromised, allowing another Sith Lord, Darth Tenebris, to gain access to parts of the battleship's design blueprints. Despite these setbacks, the people of Samurth demonstrated remarkable resilience and continued to push the project forward. After Dr. Halsey was awakened, she joined the Halo Weapon System Group and was stationed on planet Samurth as a research and development consultant for the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier. The carrier's engine system incorporated some Forerunner technology, which, although analyzed and provided by the UNSC technology system, required Dr. Halsey's genius to successfully integrate into the battleship. With the full support of the Trade Federation, the development and construction of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier were finally completed after 2.5 years. The first ship, the Infinity, was ready to enter service. The second and third ships, which began construction 8 months and 1 year and 3 months after the Infinity, respectively, were still in assembly. The second ship was expected to complete its final outfitting within 5 months, and the third ship within a year, after which they would join the Navy of the Principality of Dawn. The Galactic Empire closely monitored the construction of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier, continuously sending spies and attempting to bribe the local Samurth people to steal its secrets. However, their efforts were in vain. The Samurth people, known for their stubbornness, had no affection for the Galactic Republic or the Galactic Empire. This was evident from the actions of their counselor, Thunbark Tura, who led the planet in resisting the Galactic Empire to the end, even after the Confederation of Independent Systems was destroyed. The agents sent by the Galactic Empire failed to bribe a single Samurth person. Most of these agents were human, making them conspicuous on the streets of planet Samurth, and thus unable to steal the planet's top secrets. Now, the day had finally arrived to unveil the mystery of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier. Chapter 1803, Immerse's Father. A very extravagant, gold-painted Regal-class frigate emerged from hyperspace, appearing outside the planet Semmels in a burst of white light. The frigate boasted a stunning gold and ivory-white paint job, adorned with intricate patterns that made it look both gorgeous and noble. However, this Regal-class frigate had no intention of flaunting its beauty. Instead, it activated its cloaking device immediately after exiting hyperspace. With a burst of electricity, it vanished into the universe, becoming completely invisible. The cloaked frigate flew silently, passing through the bustling industrial fleet on the planet's periphery. It left an almost imperceptible distortion next to a massive capital ship dock. Then, it transmitted a maximum beam to the planet's defense facilities, sending a secret identification code. This code was cleverly mixed with the signal of a passenger ship, allowing the frigate to follow the ship into the planetary shield's range, pass through the atmosphere, and enter the planet's surface. Throughout this process, the planetary defense fleet, which had received the identification code, quietly allowed the spacecraft to pass, providing a discreet green channel unnoticed by others. This Regal-class ship was none other than Tang Xiao's personal vessel. He had secretly come to the planet Semmels in his exclusive spaceship to attend the maiden voyage ceremony of the Infinity, the first ship of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier. The planet Semmels was bustling with activity today. Representatives from many planets in the Federation of Independent Systems, as well as delegates from major corporate giants, had gathered to participate in this grand event. After the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier was leaked, Count Dooku decided to make the maiden voyage ceremony of this battleship a highly publicized demonstration. He wanted to send a clear message to the Galactic Empire. I have another trump card in my hand. Consequently, in addition to the various members of the Confederation of Independent Systems, the intelligence department of the Galactic Empire had also sent agents attempting to infiltrate the event. Small skirmishes between spies and security forces occurred sporadically on the planet's outskirts. To ensure the success of the maiden voyage ceremony, Planet Semmels had mobilized its entire planetary defense fleet. This included 50 Higra-class battlecruisers, 20 Cole-class battlecruisers, and 40 Apocalypse-class light cruisers. More than 200 small and medium-sized warships patrolled the area, and over 10,000 fighter jets were on standby. Without specialized anti-stealth radar detection, it was impossible to determine how many stealth hangar platforms were positioned outside the planet. An Aganev-class interstellar base, with a side length of 7,500 meters, rotated quietly on the planet's periphery, scrutinizing every spacecraft that entered the gravity well range. At this moment, the planet Semmels was an impregnable fortress, its defensive power comparable to an entire fleet of the Galactic Empire. Naturally, Tang Xiao did not want to miss such a grand event. He was also deeply interested in the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier. The invisible Regal-class frigate flew directly to the capital of the planet Semmels. After entering a closed spaceport within the planet's administrative palace, it finally revealed itself and landed on the platform. The cabin door opened, and Tang Xiao stepped out first. He wore a black formal suit, exuding an aura of majesty and mystery. His wife, Adele Wulan, clung to his arm like a delicate bird. She wore a light red dress that accentuated her slim and tall figure. Her stunning beauty almost outshone the splendor of the palace. The senator from planet Semmels, Tunbak Tula, and the governor of the planet came to greet them in person. Tang Xiao's arrival was met with great respect and anticipation. They arrived in secret without any entourage. As Tang Xiao stepped off the spacecraft, he was greeted eagerly. A flattering, smile appeared on Thunbark Tula's furry face. Your Majesty, your presence on planet Semmels for this maiden voyage ceremony is the greatest honor for our 14 billion inhabitants, she said. She and the planet's governor then bowed deeply to Tang Xiao, using the most noble etiquette in Samira's tradition. To the Samira's people, Tang Xiao was akin to a father. He had helped them establish a complete industrial system, freeing them from being mere parts processing factories. He had also provided them with precious battleship data, enabling them to produce battleships independently. The rapid development of planet Semirs was all thanks to Tang Xiao. Therefore, even though Thunbark Tula and the governor were the highest-ranking individuals among the Semirs, they treated Tang Xiao with the utmost respect. Tang Xiao nodded slightly. You withstood immense pressure and finally completed the construction of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier. I am very pleased. When the Fourth Army of the Galactic Republic launched their attack, I feared this plan would die in its infancy. Its completion proves the resilience of the Semirs. This is our duty and a testament to your wise leadership, Grand Duke. The Endless-class super aircraft carrier is the best gift we can offer you. As for the beautiful Lady Adele, Thunbark Tula said, taking out a gorgeous crown and holding it in both hands. This is a token of our love for you. Please allow me to place it on you with honor. Tang Xiao smiled and nodded. Thunbark Tula crawled over, gently placing the silver crown on Adele Ulan's head. She then raised her hand and waved it gently, causing a silver light to emanate from the crown, falling on Adele's shoulders like a cloak. Adele was extremely pleased. Even as a little princess of the Ulan family, she was captivated by the exquisite design of the tiara. She stroked the crown on her head, almost unable to put it down. Tang Xiao, not wanting to waste time, waved his hand and said calmly, "Let's go. Let's visit the Infinity and have a good look around." "Of course, Your Majesty," Thunbark Tula nodded and bowed, leading Tang Xiao and his wife to another nearby spacecraft. Soon the spacecraft took off, escaping the planet's atmosphere and flying towards 3 giant interstellar shipyards surrounded by numerous battleships. Through the portholes, the 3 giant interstellar shipyards came into view, with 3 huge battleships at different stages of construction in the center, the Endless-class super aircraft carriers. As the spacecraft approached, the massive body of the Endless class gradually filled the entire view outside the portholes. At a glance, nothing could be seen except an endless metal wall. To give Tang Xiao a better view of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier, Thunbark Tula piloted the spacecraft around the giant ship twice before entering the interior of the battleship. "Thank you to the great and glorious human civilization. Long live!" Thunbark Tula exclaimed, expressing her gratitude. Chapter 1804, Endless-class super aircraft carrier, Part 2. The spacecraft entered the Infinity through the hangar entrance, revealing an enormous hangar platform. Above the expansive platform, hundreds of movable gantry racks stood ready. Although currently empty, each gantry rack would eventually hold a fighter jet. This modern hangar platform was equipped with a complete set of fighter maintenance and supply functions. It even featured a fighter production line capable of dismantling and reassembling damaged fighter jets into brand new ones. Additionally, it could utilize local materials to directly build fighter jets, even when far from the rear base. There were 2 such hangar platforms located on both sides at the rear of the battleship. "Your Majesty the Grand Duke, thank you for coming." More than a dozen Neimoidians approached, led by the governor of the Trade Federation, Newt Gunray. He held his hands in front of his chest with great respect. "I heard that you have made many changes to the design of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier based on the existing technical conditions. Is that true?" Tang Xiao inquired. "Please allow me to introduce you, Your Majesty." A Neimoidian wearing goggles stepped forward from behind Newt Gunray. He bowed to Tang Xiao. "I am Marto Graham, currently tentatively designated as the captain of the Infinity. I remember you. During the battle on the planet Rhinos, you commanded the fleet of the Federation of Independent Systems," Tang Xiao said, recalling the Neimoidian general who had caused significant trouble for Anakin Skywalker. "This is my honor." Marto Graham saluted again, then cleared his throat and spoke loudly. "The Endless-class super aircraft carrier is currently the largest warship our Trade Federation has ever participated in building. Even within our Principality of Dawn, it is second only to the Titan battleship. The length is 5,694.2 meters, the height is 1,041.2 meters, and the width is 833.3 meters. Tang Xiao nodded. Indeed, compared to the Titan battleship that incorporated the most cutting-edge technology of the Dawn Principality, The Endless-class super aircraft carrier was a super battleship that could be mass-produced, which was of great significance to the Dawn Principality. The main design direction of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier is to support continuous operations outside the supply circle for extended periods. The battleship has complete fighter, missile, and bullet manufacturing facilities, and also includes an explosive gas compression factory. The supplies carried by the battleship can last for 2 years, and if simple supplies can be obtained, it can continue to operate for 5 to 10 years, Marto Graham explained as he led Tang Xiao and Adele Ulan across the hangar platform and onto a set of high-speed rail cars, the primary means of transportation inside the massive battleship. The 4,825-meter-long Conqueror-class battleship had a similar design. The biggest change we have made to this battleship is the redesign of the weapon system. Initially, 4 27-meter caliber super electromagnetic guns were to be installed at the front of the battleship. These have now been modified into 3 particle light spears, Marto Graham continued. Shouldn't it be 4? Tang Xiao asked, puzzled. With 4 particle lances, there isn't enough space. The length of a particle lance system is about 800 meters, while a 27-meter caliber super electromagnetic gun is only 300 meters long. This required us to redesign the space arrangement at the bow of the battleship. Consequently, the new arrangement can only accommodate 3 particle light spears. However, compared to the original electromagnetic guns, the combat capabilities of the particle light spears are significantly greater, Marto Graham explained. Tang Xiao nodded and asked, "So what about the extra space? How do you deal with the requirements of the particle light spear?" Tang Xiao inquired. Marl Took responded, "Dr. Halsey helped us redesign the battleship's energy transmission system. We now transmit energy from the central reactor at the rear of the ship to the bow. The transmission path runs just above the rail transit we're currently riding." He continued, "Additionally, in the area surrounding the energy transmission channel, we originally had 700 missile launch arrays. These have all been converted into turbo laser cannons and heavy laser cannons. This conversion frees up a lot of space previously used for missile storage and manufacturing, which can now accommodate the particle spears. In the original design, there were 1,100 missile launch systems, but we've retained only 400 to compensate for the firepower gap left by the turbo laser and heavy laser cannons. Furthermore, out of the 837 70mm caliber rapid-fire close-in defense guns, 500 have been converted into laser point defense systems. The remaining 337 are primarily used to launch diffusion bombs and special ammunition. The current firepower configuration of the Endless-class super aircraft carrier is centered around the ultra-long-range particle lance. Heavy antimatter missiles form the outer ring, turbo laser cannons the middle ring, heavy laser cannons the inner ring, and close-in defense laser systems, along with 70mm rapid-fire cannons, create a layered anti-aircraft defense. The warship is also equipped with 3 different types of missiles to handle large warships, small and medium-sized warships, and fighter aircraft. Marl Took's excitement was palpable as he concluded, "The adjusted firepower of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier is now sufficient to meet any situation. It is more powerful than any known battleship in the galaxy." Tang Xiao was very satisfied upon hearing this. He knew that the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier was not originally designed as a pure warship. Its main firepower consisted of 4 27-meter caliber electromagnetic guns, which were fixed on the bow and cumbersome to aim. Other firepower included 100 missile launchers and 837 close-in defense guns, primarily for self-defense. Strictly speaking, it lacked the capability to compete with enemy warships of the same level. However, the modifications had changed everything. The addition of 3 particle light spears had instantly made the firepower of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier formidable. Although these spears were also fixed on the bow, they were light-speed energy weapons, offering a much higher hit rate than electromagnetic guns. The traditional turbolaser cannons from the Star Wars universe were also a significant upgrade, boasting greater power and effective range than ordinary laser weapons. The combination of turbolasers and particle lances had elevated the anti-ship combat capability of the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier to a new level. Moreover, the missile technology of the Principality of Dawn was more advanced than that of the UNSC. Their standard antimatter missiles and proton torpedoes were a nightmare for enemy warships. The Fire Cloud missile, capable of spreading a deadly radiation cloud, posed a significant threat to both warships and fighter jets. On top of this, the Principality of Dawn had very mature laser technology. X-ray weapons were now standard on their warships. Whether it was the ultra-high-power X-rays emitted by heavy laser cannons or the high-rate X-rays from close-range defense laser cannons, both could achieve superior combat effectiveness. Therefore, despite the reduced density of defensive firepower, the modifications had made the Endless-class super aircraft carrier more formidable and versatile in combat. To fight against the ship, even if the opponent deploys a large number of fighter jets, the Endless-class close-defense firepower network can still hold its ground. This modification serves two main purposes. Firstly, to maximize the use of the advanced technology already available in the Dawn Principality, and secondly, to effectively counter the numerous Imperial-class star destroyers of the Galactic Empire Navy.